This week, Stogie Geeks episode 363. Nelson and I have in studio Michael Correia, owner of the Regency Cigar Emporium, located in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. The Regency Cigar Emporium is the first cigar retailer in the U.S. to accept cryptocurrency. We're also going to talk a little bit about the industry. Lots of exciting stuff that's happening. You can follow along. StogieGeeks.com/live. Stogie Geeks episode 363 starts right now.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome everyone to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up. So we also have remote Drew, who is remote over in Texas. Look at you. You got some Stogie Geek swag going on in the background.
Got my banner.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm all set up for the Stogie Geek mobile lounge.
Confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Regency Cigars, perfected for more than 150 years. Yours to enjoy now.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to Stogie Geeks episode 363. I am your host, Joe Hozempa, and I am joined by a cast of characters in studio. This is our first in-studio interview post-COVID. I'm pretty excited about that. And actually, if you follow the Security Weekly network, they had on Paul Security Weekly the first interview post-COVID last night over there on the big show. But anyway, joined over here in studio is the internet sensation himself, Mr. Nelson DeMello.
What's up, Joe? Great. So happy to be back in studio. Excited to have an in-house guest. Really excited about today's topic.
Today's topic, first of all, I want to welcome Michael Correia, owner of the Regency Cigar Emporium, to Stogie Geeks. Michael, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It is great to be here. It is an honor to be the first post-COVID
There you go.
Guest here. So Levin was looking forward to seeing COVID come to an end, and here we are actually socializing, shaking hands, smoking together, face-to-face, actually having cigars together. So this is fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, plexiglass is off the bar.
That's right.
I'm assuming.
Plexiglass is down. That's exactly right.
Probably put it in a storage closet because we never know what the hell the fall is going to look like. I've always said to my circle, if we could walk around with masks for like 3 weeks but not have the flu, I'm kind of game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm kind of game. Like, flu numbers are down and all that stuff. But anyway, we are not here to talk about that or COVID, I guess.
Hell no.
No, that's right.
As that is in the rearview mirror. What brought Michael to the table here is a fascinating headline on his business is that the Regency Cigar Emporium, located in East Greenwich, Rhode Island, is the first retailer in the U.S. to accept cryptocurrency. And that's come up, just the concept of cryptocurrency has come up multiple times on the show.
Yep.
It obviously, on the other shows across the network, comes up multiple times. This is a fascinating conversation on so many levels, and I want to jump right into it. So, Michael, can you tell us a little bit about Regency? you're celebrating what, 24, 5 years?
25 years this year.
Yep.
25 years.
25
Congratulations,
years.
man.
You could probably do another 6 more episodes of just the first 25 years.
Just that, maybe 25 more.
You've seen a lot. Yeah.
That's half my life.
You know?
I just turned 50, so that half of my life I've been at Regency
Wow.
Cigar in the cigar business. So it's been an absolutely wonderful ride. 25 years in any business is incredible to
Yeah.
be able to go that long. But there's an old saying that keeps me honest that I learned a while ago: the longer you live, the more likely you are to die. And I think that applies to businesses as well. Everyone always thinks once you hit a certain point, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, well, now you've made it. And how often do you see companies that have been around for 100 years or so? So you always have to be on point, grow or die. That's how I see it. So 25 years is really just the beginning for us and for Regency Cigar.
Yeah, grow or die. I've always used the word, especially for this industry, is you got to innovate or die.
Always. Always.
The business sustainability is so important on so many levels, whether you're in or out of this industry. And we're certainly going to talk about that because you are certainly being extremely innovative by accepting cryptocurrency on regencycigar.com.
Correct.
And for those of you Stogie Geeks who haven't had a chance to go to regencycigar.com, super convenient. Hold your credit card, log in, username, great experience, almost like the big guys. Like I've been saying, you can compete in a world.
Correct.
Even if you have a quote unquote brick and mortar cigar shop.
That's
there.
exactly right. It's actually better than the big guys because the big guys don't offer the personal touch that you get from your local retailer. So I always say, regencycigar.com, that's your local retailer online. You can call up and talk to me or one of my guys all the time, ask whatever questions you need to ask, do the whole transaction over the phone or do it online, set it up for automatic reordering on a monthly basis, weekly basis, bi-monthly basis, whatever it is to make it easy for you to shop with us and to make sure that you're satisfied and happy with the product. That's what we do, and that's a big difference from the big guys. The big guys are all about, hey, we're big and we have these blowout products and we'll get them to you fast and we'll get them to you cheap. But most of the time you buy something you don't like because you're trying something new that's half the price of what they claim it sold for at some point.
Yeah.
You light it up and you're like, well, that kind of sucked. And I got a box of these now. So we try to avoid that at Regency Cigar and regencycigar.com. We want you to actually get the cigar that we know you're going to like, and that keeps you coming back, whether it's for that same cigar or for something new. So we offer that same in-house service. If you walk through our door or shop at regencycigar.com, we want you to have the same type of service experience, whether it's virtual or in store.
The service, I make reference of you. You've never appeared on Stogie Geeks, which I don't know even remotely how that happened. I visit your shop not as frequently as I should.
Amen to that.
A lot of that is
You kidding me? We were going to get into that later, folks.
Is bandwidth. I remember, and I've even said this on the show. I remember walking into one of your, it was your East Greenwich store at the time when you owned 2, and you come out of the back room and you say, "What, are you lost?" That was the first thing he said to me. I have so many Regency stories about business pivoting. I've always, I don't know, like I've always admired you from afar, right? Okay, yeah, I came in, had a stick, sat down, met up with some friends, had a good time, but I've always like watched your business model. I can towards the end of the show, and keep me on track. You didn't keep me on track last time.
What?
With the email from the Stogie Geek listener. Remember we were supposed to answer it? So keep me on track. I want to
pay me more.
I want to go into my 10, 15 year ago, walking into Regency stories and all of that stuff too, as we get towards the end of the interview, because like I said, I've always admired your business model from afar and never came out and just said, "Hey, man, you freaking have it going on." Even though I've been in the same room when we talked about legislation, you really have and I say this all the time on the show, where especially if we're talking about cigar companies, or if we're talking about sometimes MMA and boxing come up on the show. I used to box in college. I still box now, contrary to size. I still get in there and do my thing, even though I'm only 4 years younger than you, which is crazy, right? I guess I'm up there too, right? But
a little bit.
We're just getting warmed up though.
And it's like you're very, very internally centered from a business perspective. This is my observation of you, as opposed to externally centered. Like you truly, and I've often said this even about cigar companies, where cigar companies need to beat to their own drum. Don't worry about being X,
That's
or don't
exactly
worry
right.
about
That's
doing.
exactly right.
Do you? And having seen you you've been around since I've been smoking, right?
Yeah.
So I've been smoking well over 24 years. So you've been around, and it's like you've always just marched to the beat of your own drum and done your business and your business model, as opposed to, hey, so and so down the road is doing this. Let me, and et cetera, et cetera. And I've always admired that.
Thank you.
But I want to get to the topic of the interview. Is you are the first cigar retailer in the U.S. to accept cryptocurrency on RegencyCigar.com.
How about that?
Now, internally, I always share with the Stogie Geeks listeners how the guest gets to the camera, right? So that I try to take that Stogie Geeks listener
The backstory
in through our journey in there, and we received a press release from your agency, and I. Full disclosure, took it. I have my Stogie Geeks to-do list, like all my other accounts I do for work. When I get to it, I'm going to get to it. I review it weekly. And I took it, I read it, and I moved it to my Stogie Geeks to-do list. So I had full intentions of reaching out to you.
That means we went in the fucking trash can.
No,
That's what that means.
no, it doesn't.
That's
No,
it. Thank you, Joe. Go on.
If there was a way for Goose to, and Goose, please don't try to do this.
I
right?
admire your business model, but fuck you and your crypto.
Right? So, no, right? And then about a half hour later, did you call me or did you
I called
email?
you. I called you.
You called me, and he's like, hey.
because I wanted to get on it.
Yeah. He's like, hey, the Regency
Nelson to the rescue. Thank you, Nelson.
Nelson says, can I go for it? And at first I said, go for it, right? And then I hung up the phone and I said, ooh, I'm sending him to Mike from the Regency. Like, I don't even know if he even knows Nelson. I don't even know.
I've been to his shop many times.
Okay. I'm like, Nelson will be like, hey, how you doing? I'm the internet sensation. We'll get to why we call him the internet sensation, just so you can be in on it, right? But and I'm like, sure, go for it. And then he's like, yeah, he wants to show up Friday, and I'm like, oh, perfect. And then here we are, getting ready to finally talk about crypto. So take us through the journey of what made you, where Regency, was, you can give a quick 25-year synopsis or last year or whatever, and then how you came to this realization, like, hey, I'm going to take a crack at this.
That's funny.
Yeah, and how long was the process to get there?
Yeah.
The process was a little longer than it should have been, probably because of my own fault. So our website, so Regency Cigar has been in business 25 years. One of the interesting parts, we do with cryptocurrency, obviously first cigar retailer in the country to accept cryptocurrency for payment. Right now, crypto is getting beat up. So, Bitcoin is down about 40%, Ethereum's down almost 50%, or they actually were down 50% last week from their highs, and they've rebounded a little, but it's been an extremely volatile ride throughout the life of cryptocurrency, and the last couple of weeks reminds everybody how volatile it has been, because over the last year or so, for those of you who don't follow crypto all that much, crypto's up about, some of the cryptocurrencies are up well over 1,000% in 12 months. I mean, that's just insane. You don't see that in normal businesses, and you don't see that in many investments at all. But it is a volatile ride. It's something I thought about a while ago, just because I was interested in cryptocurrency. And right now we call it cryptocurrency, but it really isn't being used as currency, other than drug dealers and
the dark
illegal,
web.
all the illegal stuff. No one else is using it as currency, and they're just using it to hide, from the authorities. It's been used as speculative investment, and it's extremely speculative and extremely volatile. And as long as it stays that volatile and is being used as an investment, and it will never be a real currency. Currency is meant to exchange, a product or a good or services for the currency. And people just aren't doing that on the big scale. And last year, we actually looked into doing it, or 2 years ago, actually. We revamped our website. So backtracking literally 25 years at the beginning, we opened up in 1996. 1997, we were one of the first cigar retailers online with a website. Now, you couldn't order online at the time. It had our 800 number. Remember those 800 numbers?
Yep.
Yeah. 888-338-8886. You can still use that. 888-338-8886. That's our toll-free number. Anywhere in the country, if you want to order cigars, we had the website was set up as a catalog, and it had all the products that we had, boxes and then some sampler packs on there. But there was almost no one, and I don't remember who else was on, but it was literally just a handful of cigar retailers, predominantly the big ones, that were online. And I remember when we first had our original website designed, it was god awful. I mean, it looked so bad. It was scary.
Like a high school kid did it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. We had little cigars for cigar icons with the different brands in them and stuff. It was, you'd throw up if you saw it today. It was just so bad. But if they saw something they liked, they'd call us up and place the order online. And that was our way of keeping it secure, because back then you didn't have anywhere near the security that you do for credit cards and stuff. And I wasn't ordering online, but I knew there was a presence to be had. And the guy who had originally built the website, he wanted to put our website under his name, like it was ABC, webdesign.com/Regency Cigar.
Oh, wow.
That's what he wanted. And for some reason, I knew. I said, no, I need my own name. How do we register a name? We registered Regency Cigar. We registered Regency Cigar Emporium. We registered Regency Cigars, .com. Every version of our name,
Sure.
Some typos and everything. And he's like, why do you want that? It doesn't matter. It isn't like they're going to go. And I'm like, it matters to me. And they quickly realized in the internet world that the name did matter.
It mattered.
That .com really did matter. So we've been on the web literally for 24 years. So we've always tried to be in there with innovation and making it as easy as possible for customers to find us and to shop with us and continue to shop with us. And then a couple of years ago, we had the website revamped to a bigger platform, a more professional platform, to where we could really be set up to scale and set up to grow the online business, because all transactions have begun to move online. COVID really sped that up big time, and it did for us as well. But we saw the trend going, and we knew the website had to be set up and be able to do that. And at the time, I had already said, hey, why don't we try crypto? And they weren't ready. The web designer wasn't ready. The plugins or whatever, I don't know the technical aspect of things. I just pay somebody else to handle that stuff and say, yeah, it looks good, works, doesn't work. And we went from there. We did, PayPal, credit cards. We take Venmo. We're probably the first retailer to take Venmo. We just never publicize that.
Sure.
Anyway, the bottom line was, if you want to shop with Regency Cigar or you want to buy cigars online, you go to regencycigar.com. I don't care how you want to pay, we accept that payment. That's pretty much it. I'll even consider some chickens for cigars. If you want to barter, old school, 2 goats and a chicken for a box of, Davidoff, that might, it depends on the quality of the goat, but that might work for us.
Well, we follow you. You do have quite a bit of land.
That's my point.
So if
exactly.
you have 50 chickens,
Yeah. We live in the same,
Mike.
we actually live in the same town.
That's right. Nelson's one of my neighbors.
Okay.
He's down the road.
So Mike could possibly accept 50 chickens and house them and take care of them for, I don't know, definitely not 50 boxes, but
no,
at least 10.
I mean, it's true. I was on your site earlier today, and I was like, holy shit, he really does have every form of payment
Sure.
that there is.
Yeah.
That's right. We do a fundraiser for the Rhode Island Food Bank every year. We used to do a food drive. We had the largest food drive in the state, and now we did a fundraiser. Actually,
You just did it, right?
Last year during COVID, props to my team at Regency Cigar and all of our clients. Last year, we were the largest fundraiser during COVID. Keep in mind, partially shut down. We were the largest fundraiser in the state for the Rhode Island Food Bank. We collected over $104,000 in about 2.5 weeks for
Holy
the Rhode
cow.
Island Food Bank, and that just blew them away. It blew us away. Our goal, I think, at the time publicly was $50,000, because last year we had raised 40-something thousand. So we're one of their biggest fundraisers, and that was the same model. When it comes to collecting for the fundraiser, cash, check, credit card, Venmo, PayPal, every type of credit card. The only thing we didn't offer was Bitcoin. And when I said that, as we were promoting the fundraiser, I'm like, I got to get on this. I never finished that when we redid the website because we weren't ready. I never revisited it. So I went back and said, talk to my guy, and it's like, hey, how do we get crypto up here? Especially, I think it was just a few months ago that Elon Musk had announced that you could now buy a Tesla with cryptocurrency. And I'm a big fan of Elon and what he's done in his career and what he's done, with Tesla and Solar City, PayPal, and everything. The guy has a vision and he knows how to make things happen. And when you see someone like him get into crypto and say, we're going to accept it because it is part of the future, he's nailed what part of the future is. Electric cars, they laughed at him 10 years ago, globally saying this is a joke. And now you have every major manufacturer in the world is now producing an electric car. So this guy comes out and says, we're going to accept cryptocurrency. That was kind of the wake-up call for me on something that I had started 2 years ago to maybe let's revisit this.
It's a confirmation.
And see if we can get it back, because most likely he tends to make smart bets and he knows what he's doing. And I thought it was a good idea. And it takes guys like him, and I'm definitely not putting myself in the same category as Elon Musk, but it takes retailers in every business to say, we're going to get on board with this, because frankly, it's going to make it easier for everyone, for the consumer and for the retailer, and everyone's going to save money if cryptocurrency takes off the way I think it's going to take off as an actual currency to where people use it, because you eliminate a lot of the middlemen, and people don't realize how many middlemen there are in a transaction where you use a credit card. That's the funny thing. Everybody thinks if you go on and you buy with your American Express or with your Visa, Visa gets their cut. And it isn't just Visa getting their cut.
Sure.
There's a lot of people taking little pieces, fractions of a percent or pennies on the dollar. But when you're talking trillions of dollars in transactions every year, all these people in the middle, the banks, the technology companies, the fintech companies, everyone's got a piece of the pie. And that means your product costs more money, and that means the expense of me doing business is higher. Cryptocurrency can change all of that to where a transaction is pretty much peer-to-peer and then verified independently to ensure that the transaction is legitimate, and that's all done, depending on the cryptocurrency right now, it's all done within a second or so. Bitcoin, which is the one everybody knows, is actually one of the slowest currencies out there to be used in a transaction, to where it can take up to a couple of minutes for that transaction to complete. So realistically, even if Bitcoin was stable, the way it's set up right now, it's not the best cryptocurrency to use for a transaction. But that's pretty much how we got in. We started on this 2 years ago. I dropped the ball completely, forgot all about it, had the new website, got it up and running. Like anything else, anytime you implement something new, you got to work out all the bugs and deal with all the issues. And there were a lot of bugs and issues. And then COVID hit, and the world changed. For the long term, the world probably changed for the better, but we haven't seen that yet, and we won't see that for a while. But I know my business has definitely changed for the better throughout the last year. But it reminded me being prepared for just about anything as a business and with technology. If I didn't have my website remodeled 2 years ago and set for more volume, we wouldn't have been able to benefit from COVID and everyone staying at home and going online and ordering their cigars that way. Because I was telling Joe earlier before the podcast, all of a sudden, over 90% of our online transactions were from out of state. We get customers from all over the country. And then as soon as COVID hit and Rhode Island went into a lockdown, there was a huge influx of local customers shopping, to where we were actually shipping more packages within the state of Rhode Island, which is pretty small. You can get to my store, and if you haven't, shame on you. You can get to my store within the state within an hour. I don't care where you are in the state of Rhode Island. If you're in a car,
It's true.
Right? That's Rhode Island. Corner to corner, anywhere you want to go, you can get wherever you want to be in Rhode Island within 1 hour. And yet we were shipping packages to people a block away, 2 blocks away, because they didn't want to leave the house because the lockdowns were going on. So it played a huge, huge role. And I knew once we settled out of COVID, we would take that next step and revisit cryptocurrency. So that's what we did. Got together with the web guys, said this is what we want to do. What's the best plugin for now? And we're using one now that's working out well, and we'll continue to adjust just like we do with all the other software that's involved.
So I did want to get into that. I do want to unpack what you said earlier about how it's more of a seamless transaction. It's cutting out the middleman, as you said. I do want to unpack that, but the risk factor, right? Weighing that, and I saw that you SSO over into another a crypto processor,
Correct.
I guess it is, right? But what was your process for weighing the risk? I mean, did you look at studies? Did you do your own research?
So yeah, pretty much my own research. So that was on us, and we controlled the risk that we want to accept. So when I accept, the biggest risk associated with accepting cryptocurrency as a payment is now you have this as soon as Joe goes online and he buys a box of cigars, which I expect him to do within the next 24 hours, as soon as he goes online, buys a box of cigars with his cryptocurrency, and he pays with Ethereum, we'll say, and he spends $500, Joe, $500, he spends on that box of cigars, and he pays in Ethereum. As soon as I get that money, as soon as I get that Ethereum, that cryptocurrency, I now have the option to convert that to cash or to sit on US dollars, or to sit on it as a cryptocurrency. All the risk is involved in the time that it takes for me to decide or for me to convert the cryptocurrency into cash. So if I decide I don't want to convert it, I'm going to hold on to the Ethereum. And right now, that's exactly what we're doing. We're building up a little bit of stockpile. We've only had a couple of transactions with cryptocurrency, but I haven't converted any of it. And like I said, in a volatile market, I think this morning before I got here, Bitcoin and Ethereum were both down, I want to say around 3 or 4%. So somebody pays with Ethereum this morning, and I have $100 worth of Ethereum and cryptocurrency. I've lost 4% on that transaction. But the risk is just the opposite. The reward is the same. A week from now, that same Ethereum that I took all that tremendous risk on may be worth 20% more, 30% more. I mean, cryptocurrency is that crazy. It is that volatile. Anything can happen. The future plan is not for us to just, anything we accept in cryptocurrency, we're going to hold on to as an investment. It's just the numbers are so small right now that the risk is minimal. People really, for the most part, really aren't ready to use cryptocurrency. Everyone's afraid. So this is the risk on the consumer side. Everyone's afraid to use it because they don't want to lose money. I bought cigars with my cryptocurrency, and within the next 2 weeks, it's up 30%.
Oh, yeah.
My cigars did not increase in value, just the opposite. I burned some of them, literally put them up in flames. I burned money.
Every day.
I burned cryptocurrency. That's exactly right. We do it every day. That's the biggest risk on the consumer side is if I spend it, I lose out on the potential upside. But anyone, if you spent your cryptocurrency 2 weeks ago, you made out pretty well, because you eliminated up to a 50% downside depending on the cryptocurrency that's out there. And that's monster. I mean, that's huge.
I also think consumer-wise, we can't look at the transaction on a day-to-day basis, especially with crypto. Right?
How so?
So in other words, if I want to pay $500 worth of crypto there, and I can't say, should I pay cash for this? Should I not? It's the idea of you're now officially getting goods for a effort that you took a chance for a yield, right? And so, if that consumer looks at it that way, like, okay, I'm going to wait till next week to see if it starts going up or down, and hedging it in cigars. I think right now with crypto, it's a long-term goal, right? You might look at it, and again, I'm not speaking for you. You can tell me I'm off my rocker. Please do if I am. But I would imagine you say, okay, I'm going to put this into a pot. As the crypto orders come in, you're going to give them the goods sold. Correct. Marginally, you'll figure out what the margin is on the cigars and cost of goods sold and all of that stuff there too. And then you have your own version of a yield limit. When my pot gets to X, then I'm going to execute plan B. How am I going to get it into a currency? Or am I just going to keep it? Or am I going to wait and see, more importantly, what the hell the government's going to do with people who own crypto, right?
Exactly.
Because the reason why it's up, it's down, it's up and down, it's up and down is no different than if you follow a stock and it says...
You're in my head right now.
And it says, oh, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. And again, you can't look at a stock day to day. Yeah. Now, I do day trade, right? I do day trade. I'm looking at Roblox now that I bought for $73. It's now like $93 a share, and I'm thinking in my head, it's a $120 stock. It's my head, right? Yep. But I'm thinking, if I kind of get a little bit out, then I can hedge, and that's what goes on in my head. So I have my own threshold, right? in the stock world, you call that an exit strategy, right?
Yep.
So I'm sure you have a number. If you get X amount of crypto, this is what it's going to yield for the product. This is what I'm going to do with it, and then away you go. Which, at the bottom line, if you look at it that way as opposed to day to day, which is getting to my point, right? When you look at it day to day, that consumer might not think like that.
But I think that there's a dichotomy for the consumer, right? And you touched on exactly what I wanted to say. So pre-crypto, right? You had stocks, you had money.
Yeah.
Right? Very distinct assets, right?
Yeah.
One's a currency you use for purchasing. One you can't use for purchasing. It's an investment. In comes cryptocurrency. It's a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Well, it's more like gold. If you look at gold and silver,
yes.
Right.
Similar.
But I can't walk in your shop and hand you, although in your shop, maybe I could.
Yeah. Actually, you can.
if you have a gold,
I have taken gold.
Just go to Regency Cigar Emporium.
you have a gold
This is what I'm
bar,
saying. We would do whatever it takes. We want to complete that transaction. We want to make the sale, make the customer happy. I have taken gold for cigars. I have traded gold for cigars in the past. So,
but I think that my point is, I think that
It's not
speaks
normal.
to what Mike said earlier. That people might be a little hesitant because it's like, wait a minute, is this my investment?
Yeah.
Or am I using this for buying power?
But I agree. But I also think that crypto hasn't been defined yet. From a consumer perspective. So,
You're right.
For example, it's funny how you say 2 years ago, because in my notes on crypto, these are my notes on just crypto. Going back 2 years ago, it was nothing more than thought of a lottery ticket, no more than a sports betting transaction. You know what I mean? I'm going to spend $20 or $100 or whatever the consumer's threshold is to see what the hell this crypto thing is about, right? Now, it's a thing. And the reason why I know it's a thing is because the government is trying to figure out
How to regulate it.
number one, how to regulate it, but more importantly, how to tax it.
Yeah.
How to tax it.
Yep.
And I've heard numbers thrown out on cybersecurity shows, regular investment shows, anything over, it was either 10 or 100 grand. They're going to have thresholds and just like they tax out on your stock portfolio.
Exactly.
And once they set criteria for that, that's when I think that crypto light switch from a consumer is going to go off. Once the government sets that in motion, whatever they have plans, and they'll probably screw it up. But anyway,
here's the thing: the government usually, at least in my existence in business over the last 25 years, the government usually gets things wrong, dead wrong.
Yep.
Whether it's local government, state government, federal government, they just screw it up big time. They just behave stupidly. The one thing they got right a long time ago, back in the 90s, was the internet. And even up until now, limit the regulation on the internet, because they did not know what the possibilities were for the internet. Because they had talked about all different types of regulations. What can we control? How can we tax it? Same thing. They wanted to do a federal tax on internet, just on broadband and stuff like that. They wanted to do a sales tax on every transaction, a federal sales tax that they have not done.
Oh, wow.
We're talking in 25, 30 years that the internet's really been in existence. I think you could have technically purchased something over 30 years ago online. Nowhere near as easy as it is today, but the capability was there with a couple of businesses to buy something online over 30 years ago. In that time, they still haven't stepped in and done something stupid to screw it up. They're getting there, and I think because they don't understand cryptocurrency, and I don't claim I am far from an expert. I don't understand it completely either. It blows my mind how somebody can take $1,000 or $10,000 or $1 million, and now, to your point, 2 years ago, all of the experts in the financial world and in politics throughout the world said cryptocurrency is a joke. Bitcoin is a joke. It is worthless. There is nothing to back it. And there's some truth there. There is no asset there other than the potential of there are so many Bitcoin and so many will be mined or produced, for lack of a better word, and then it's capped. And that's it. But if there's no purpose to Bitcoin, if there's no use of it, why would you want to hold on to it, and why would it hold value? That's why it can get up to 60,000 or 62, 63,000, and that's why it can go down to literally $1 or pennies. So, I don't know if you guys know this or listeners, I think at least 6 times, maybe 7, but I want to say at least 6 times, Bitcoin alone has corrected 80% from its highs in its existence.
Yeah.
So it's at least 6 times it's dropped in value by 80%. Just recently, like I said, just within the last couple of weeks, it corrected 50%. Now, the more people that hold it, the more people that get involved, and now Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, just literally 2 years ago, said cryptocurrency is a joke and laughed in an interview. And I'm a fan of Jamie Dimon. Smart guy, really knows how to operate his business. I own stock in J.P. Morgan Chase. I've owned stock for a long time. Big fan of his. He laughed at it, and I'm thinking there's a future to crypto, but this guy's one of the best in the world at what he does. I'm saying, holy shit, maybe he's right, and
Right.
I'm wrong. Well, now J.P. Morgan owns several $100 million worth of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. They're going, I forget what the number was, but I think they wanted to build up to a couple of $1 billion in holdings in cryptocurrency. Geez, how
Right.
the world changed in 2 years.
Well, keeping on that 2-year time frame, I think what made them change their mind is as they go through their asset allocation or any type of portfolio yields or what they want to get at, right? And again, I'm not speaking for millionaires, but when the facts change, they change.
Correct.
Right?
Well, that's what smart people do.
Right. So that's exactly what smart people do, right? So 2 years ago, the facts have changed on crypto.
Right.
So the facts have changed. So then they change their mind.
Yeah.
Which there's a whole compliance issue about a J.P. Morgan Chase getting this investing in this because they have people that they have to report to, board, stockholders, etc. But there is a way to experience yields now with crypto, right? And I actually wrote down a couple of notes of like where I think it's even like I think we're just touching the surface as you're accepting crypto. We're touching the surface because once corporations start finding a way to have the yield a dividend or a version as we know in our economics, our 400-year-old economic plans, right, to yield a dividend and have it circulate and yield a dividend, then it's going to become a thing.
Well, I think you said it earlier. Crypto. So yes, in 2 years the facts change, right?
Yep.
But I think you hit on it earlier. The facts are going to continue to change.
Yep.
It's still not defined.
No,
It's
That's
still
right.
finding its way to its true identity.
And no one knows what it's going to look like. Now, I just give credit to a guy like Elon Musk. He's a visionary. He tends to see the future
Yeah.
and then helps to make it happen. Jamie Dimon, brilliant guy. Maybe he's not a visionary. Didn't see the future, saw it happen or saw it transform, although it's still in its infancy. Cryptocurrency is without a doubt definitely still in its
Right.
infancy. If you look at a life cycle of any product or currency or business, it is definitely still in its infancy. The only difference between the two guys is one guy saw the future and the other guy
Saw the
waited for the
present.
future to come and said,
Yeah.
I need to be here. When you start seeing crypto make hundreds of % of increase, and the investors that have money with J.P. Morgan Chase are saying, why aren't we in on this? Why am I looking at 7% returns on an annual basis? And my neighbor, Postman, just made a few $100,000, because he bought a couple of $1,000s worth of crypto. Why aren't we in this? Why aren't I getting those returns? And it kind of makes sense. You have to question, well, you told me to do this and expect single-digit returns, and this guy, did this, the craziest thing, the dumbest thing, the stupidest thing, according to some of the so-called experts within the last couple of years, and they made 1,000% in the last year.
As a matter of fact, when you're talking like how you talk about different products and how different corporations are making a decision from a board perspective, they're looking for anywhere between 4.7 and 8%.
Yeah.
So and crypto can't give them that definition of
No.
absolute. Yeah, even though nothing's absolute, I get it. But so they, for the past 2 years, they've kind of avoided it. But you're having these swings, right? And then everything comes out into a step better, right? So, for example, in the stock world, you have apps like Robinhood, right? And then you have apps like Acorn,
Correct.
right? And like, I'm not here to recommend one over the other, but Robinhood came out first to the punch, then Acorn, and Acorn, the way it's trying to protect its consumer and user because they can't like buy and sell like they can on Robinhood because they do different shares and they gather different shares and the consumer's a little bit more protected, but it's also regulated. But like something better is going to come out of that concept of, again, getting rid of the middleman, right? I remember with stocks calling a number and waiting. I've been doing stocks.
You did it automated on the phone.
Yeah.
You used to press the button, type in the symbol. That's a long time ago. That's right.
You press it, you type in the symbol, and you're waiting 20 or at least 20 to 40 minutes.
Correct.
And we all know things can swing that way. And then you get your statement and you figure out your portfolio, and you can't even view it online at that point because it was 96.
Yeah.
Their website probably looked like yours. You said it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, they only had choice in defense of the designers who did the website. They're only using straight HTML.
Yep.
I believe timestamp wise, we're on 56K modem. That's
Back then.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what did it. Is that okay? You're just producing this website in HTML. It's shells and brackets and frames, right? Over text editor. I'm not going to get any more geeky than that, although I can, right? You write some code around it, and it does its thing. But to do a financial transaction, I remember like trading stocks. I remember, my record is a stock PTSC, and I never forget it, right? It was Patriot Scientific. Bought it, did a freaking 5 split thing, made a little bit over 10 grand. I was like 20 years old. I was like, oh, I can do this all day. I don't need to stay at Xerox. You know what I mean? Long story, painless. I invested more, and then we're even out. But anyway, you know what I mean? That's the difference between being 20 than if that happens when I'm now in my 40s, right? But once those parameters and those brackets get in, so the consumer can wrap his or her mind over it, Bitcoin is going to be a thing. There's no question.
Crypto is going to be a thing. We have
crypto.
No idea which one is going to be the winner or loser.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
The problem with crypto is which thing or things are going to be the things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, some have already come and gone.
That's the $1 billion question.
Right,
That's
right. So, how do you? I mean, right now, it's not like the Wild West, but in reality, you're taking, this is a new division for your business that yet has to be monitored.
Yeah, but like I said, it's so slow going. It's still in its infancy as a currency. It's really, other than a few handful of companies like myself and Tesla, and I think Tesla might have even put a hold on accepting cryptocurrency as payment just recently because they might readjust how much they want to hold in crypto. But they were talking like $1 billion that they were going to dedicate to a crypto having cryptocurrency on their balance sheet. I'm not looking to hold $1 billion or even $1 million in cryptocurrency on my balance sheet of the company. I just want to be able to say that we're offering something different. The only people that will use it now, my guess is because that's what we've seen interacting with us since we've gone live with it, or since we told people that we've gone live with it, because it was live for a few weeks before we went public with the fact, because you think you worked out all the bugs and then you don't, and then it just looks really bad. So before we let people know we really wanted to work on it, the only people that really want to use it right now are those guys that have held it over the last year, made 1,000%, and they're playing with literally pennies on the dollar from it. So it doesn't, I'll buy my victory cigars. I made 1,000%, so let me buy a box of cigars with some of the money that I made.
Right. Have it cost me 13 cents or free.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Other than that, right now people are holding it as an investment, and that will never change unless companies like Regency Cigar actually decide to accept it as a currency and become part of the growing process for it. It can't be an investment forever. If it doesn't have any type of use or value or use, it won't have value, right? So eventually people are going to say, everyone's buying Bitcoin, everyone's holding on to that Bitcoin, and it never gets used as a currency. Why is it worth anything now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think on both ends of this relationship, I mean, you said, you have your model now, but your model is going to change, right?
Without a doubt.
As you're doing this, whatever you're thinking today, a year from now, you're going to be doing it different.
Correct.
And I think the consumers, to your point, accepting crypto for retail is fairly new.
Yeah.
Right? So that's going to change.
I forget, there's a few hundred cryptocurrencies out there right now, literally being used or being bought and sold throughout the world. We accept 5 at RegencyCigar.com. Now that number most likely will go up to 10 or a dozen or more, and it could also go down to where 10 years from now we accept 2 versions of cryptocurrency because that's all that made it. I have no idea what the landscape's going to look like, a year out or 2 years out or 5 or 10 years out. I'm pretty confident Regency Cigar will still be there, and we'll be accepting cryptocurrency, we'll still be accepting cash, and we'll still be accepting credit cards, and maybe somebody comes up with something else as well.
Well, Manny on the YouTube wants to know if you accept IOUs.
That's the one thing. Manny, if you shop with us, and I know you well, I have done that. In Rhode Island, we call that on the arm. We take some cigars on the arm, and you owe me. There's no greater feeling than somebody owing you money. I know what it's like to have debt. It's always nice when somebody else is indebted to you. So we do actually do that for some of our members or some of the guys that we know. They conveniently forget their credit cards or they forget their wallets and they still want to smoke. Yeah, everyone claims they forgot, but they left it behind strategically. It is possible, Manny. At Regency Cigar, in the cigar world, anything is possible. That's what we try to tell you, that anything is possible at Regency Cigar and RegencyCigar.com.
That's awesome.
I thought that was clever. He said he took everything.
Yeah.
Goats, chickens, horse food. I know you have a couple of horses. So.
I got a guy just took a box of Davidoff Anniversary number 3s yesterday on the arm.
Yeah.
So that's what, 4 change. Just under $500.
Yeah.
Good customer, good friend. I know the only risk there. Anytime I let somebody take something without paying, the only risk there is if they drop dead, I lose. I got to chase their wife for the money. That's it. So I try to check their vitals. Make sure they're healthy. During COVID, it was a little riskier. We didn't want to lose anybody, but that's about it. We haven't lost a guy yet, and we haven't been stiffed on any payment yet. That's it. Even online, we've done it with some of our regular customers. Guy gets a box of cigars, he smokes it, or for whatever reason changed his mind and wants to return it. So we have a great return policy. If you're not satisfied, for whatever reason, return your cigars, you get a full refund. X what minus what you've smoked. And even then, sometimes, depending on who you are or what the issue, if the cigar burned like crap, we'll give you a full refund, including the cigar that you smoked it on us. Or we send them the wrong cigars. Believe it or not, myself, my team, Regency Cigar, we do screw up on occasion. You order one thing and for some reason you got the wrong product. We will ship you out the right product before you actually ship us back the old product. So I want to get whatever you ordered, I want to get it in your hands as fast as possible. That's one of the little things that we do. There is some trust involved and some risk. So in business, you take risk. That's the bottom line.
Well, that's how you build loyalty, though.
But if you're going to open up a business, there's always risk involved. So if you try to eliminate all the risk, you've pretty much eliminated all the potential of growth. So risk and growth go hand in hand. So most people are good people. It is rare that you see the guy trying to screw you one way or the other. We do see credit card fraud attempts on occasion and stuff like that. But to my point, crypto is more secure than credit cards when it comes to fraud. So it's a better position for us. As long as the consumer knows that we're a legitimate company, same thing. They're in a bit better position as well. But we're not there yet. Regency Cigar is there and willing to accept cryptocurrency from anybody who wants to use it, as long as it's one of the 5 that we accept. But other than that, society as a whole, commerce in the United States is not ready for cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But it takes companies like ours to step up and say we accept it before it becomes something that's widely used. And we need it to become something that's widely used because it will simplify things and it will save us money in the long run.
For those of you who have gotten into crypto or tried to, you can notice that it's a rabbit hole with the wallet, and you got to switch things.
Correct.
And you got to put some HTML text in there, getting some HTML snippets and whatnot. I just wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of a company called DiFi Ventures out of Vancouver?
No.
You might want to look into this because they're working on an app, and I did some research to make it work as easy to the consumer like a Robinhood or an Acorn.
To acquire crypto?
To acquire and make it easier, because you know how when you get into your own version of a wallet,
the private wallet.
The private wallet, it can get very...
It's a few steps.
It's a lot of steps, right? They're working on an app. It's called DiFi Ventures out of Vancouver. And one of their first customers, and this relates to the cigar world, is the city of Miami is going to be accepting cryptocurrency.
That's right. So the mayor of Miami has been on the forefront with this. That's exactly right.
So in the using this, and I'm saying, all right, wait a minute. Like I love it when the worlds collide, because you can't not be on Stogie Geeks, not talk about Miami, right? Even though I always say, like, place is the best place on earth, man, right? To visit.
My favorite place to visit. Yeah, that's right. You live there, you're dead. Well, now, the nightlife in Miami is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
It is sick. I love to visit there. I try to go every year.
Yep.
Whether it's with my wife or with friends or both. Absolutely love it. But they do some great things down there. And the mayor, same thing. He's got the vision to say, there's something here, we should be on this.
Like, think about that. Like, you're going to be able to pay your taxes
with crypto.
Now look at this. Look at this financially, right? You're taking, as of today, a non-taxable, and you could use the word asset, right? Even though it might not have any value, but there is some value, right? Because you owe X amount of taxes, and so you're taking a non-taxable asset that you might own in your portfolio and pay your taxes to the city of Miami with it. That might be a pretty good move, depending on what you got going on.
Or a major risk.
You know what I mean? It's or a major risk.
Right. If it tanks,
but it is,
what happens to the city of Miami?
It is taxable now. So they are are taxing on the profits.
That was one of my questions.
So that's the funny thing. So a few companies have been sued. XRP, Ripple. XRP was the company that, Ripple was the company that created XRP cryptocurrency. They're getting sued. They're in a lawsuit right now from the SEC, claiming that they distributed XRP cryptocurrency as a security, which is a stock, as an actual asset. And they're saying, no, it's a currency. We distributed it. And so right now I own XRP, and in the United States, I can't trade it or sell it, or even buy it. If I wanted to add to my position, I can't buy it because of the lawsuit. Just about everybody all of the companies that allow for the transactions, like Coinbase is a big one that's trying to make it as easy as possible for you to create or have a transaction with cryptocurrency, or to build a wallet or some holdings. They're trying to simplify the process. They won't let you trade XRP. So the governments are looking at it as a security, but they've already, in a few of the lawsuits, have already said, or the judgment has come down that it is not a security. Yet the federal government and state government still want to tax it. So you bought Bitcoin at $100 and you turned around, you sold it at $1,000. There's capital gains there, and they want to tax it as capital gains. But nobody looks at the dollar, the U.S. dollar, which has lost 80% of its value in the last 50. In my lifetime, 80% of the dollar is now worth 20% of what it was the day I was born.
Sure.
Wow.
I'm
not able to take a loss on my money, on the U.S. dollar. But with cryptocurrency, when it's going up, they're saying, hey, we want a piece of the pie. We want a piece of the pie. And that's part of the problem. And that's why what you said earlier, it is kind of like the Wild Wild West. Everybody's looking at things completely different. It's a currency. It's speculation. It's an asset. It's a long shot. Who knows? It's illegal. It's crazy. And governments and people on both sides are saying, I don't know what to do with this. And we say, as a company, I'm willing to trade a few cigars for some cryptocurrency.
I'm surprised it's gone this long without the SEC getting their hands on it.
You know why?
Well, they're working on it.
I know they're working on it. But
you know why? It's not going to go away, right? So from a business perspective, right? Anything that produces a yield, right? So anything that has a yield will have volatility, right, to it, right? So anything, we can go freaking talk chickens, gold, farming, rice, anything, right? Cigar, anything, right? Anything that has a yield. So when the volatility goes down, then the yield should go down as well.
Correct.
As well. And so the government's just sitting there saying, okay, there's still a yield to this stuff, right? It's not going away. Like it's got to be a thing. We have to deal with this. And like government, they're just years behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way government works. Now, I've had the privilege to work for Congressman Jack Reed when he was House of Representatives back in 94 through 96, right? And then he Senator Pell here locally retired,
Yep.
and then he ran for U.S. Senate, and now he's obviously one of our U.S. senators, right? And it's like I was fascinated to learn all this stuff. And business-wise, they were talking about things like legislation to like rebuild Quonset Point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so obviously you've been in town for years, right? And I'm like, they're gonna do this? Like, they're gonna develop this? Like, this is gonna be a really good opportunity for them to do what they did. And that was back in 1996 that I knew about it as a congressional aide, right?
Right,
As
what's
a
happened
staffer,
since?
right? But what's happened since? But if you think about it, having read their plan, right, and like I'm a thorough reader, I love to read. I took the plan home, I read it, and Jack's like, "You read this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it's funny because if I look at their 10-year plan and what they did with just Quonset, they're only on year 2.
Yeah.
And that was 1996
Back then,
that
that's
I knew
exactly right.
about.
That's
Like
exactly-
it's like it's crazy.
That's how slow they are.
So just like how I get to my FDA regulation when it comes up for cigars and they talk about predicate date and whatnot, I remember saying on Cigar Club Radio with multiple sponsors saying it's gonna end, and I still gotta find the audio clip on this. I gotta some rainy afternoon, or I gotta get an intern to go through this. I remember telling them it's going to be 2020 before the FDA even makes a decision, because I told them my experience of the Quonset Point thing. And they're like, nah, you don't know what they're talking about. They're going to get on this right away because they want the predicate in the tab. I'm like, no way. We got years to go.
They are on it right away, but this is how slow they move. This is fast for them. You know, this is just how slow they actually move.
Yeah. And when you get businesses getting behind it, JP Morgan Chase, Tesla, In or Out, I believe the pizza place was a chain. Papa John's is in on that action too, right? Well,
every major investment firm is now taking positions in cryptocurrency. That's the bottom line. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America.
I'm not going to say where I work, but I know a bank that is starting to look into not trading, but accepting cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but even the bank that you are employed with has it in the form of ETFs. Like, they have options for people to invest with his or her portfolio and purchase Bitcoin. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bitcoin. Oh, I'm sorry, crypto. I always use. I connect those two. Well, I got to stop that. Crypto ETFs.
Yeah.
So you could. So clearly, even though they might not fully offer, they kind of offer it. You know what I mean? You could. What is it? Ticker COIN, right? Is that it?
Well, that's Coinbase. So that's a company.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, they just went public this month, I think.
Or
last month.
Yeah, but that's in the form of an ETF. So now you're taking the
no, that's a company. So they actually hold. They do transactions. They hold wallets for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I use them as well as part. And I was actually going to use them on my website, but they did not have the proper plugin.
Like a plugin
for the company.
I use Coinbase as
does
well.
my thing. Yeah. They do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Here's my question, right? You know how in the merchant service world you have a choice as to when you batch the file. So so just for you Stogie Geeks listeners, when you scan a card at a Target or whichever, the money comes out of your account right away, but it goes into a holding. Yeah. And then Target or one of the bigger, the more you wait for your batch, the lower your rate is, right? Than when you need it.
That's right.
Does crypto work like that too? Or it's just
at least not in our experience. No, so, with what we use, I get the money instantly. It's not in my bank account. Yeah. But I have complete control of it within a minute of you making that. As soon as I can see it, I now control it.
You have the value.
I have the value of that currency. I can keep it as currency. I can move it to a personal account. I can move it to my bank. I can convert it into cash right away, immediately, and move it to where, like, our credit card, my credit card company, I think it's 24 to 48 hours. Yeah. You know, we have pretty low rates, so we do wait that little bit of time, batches at the end of the day, and then within 2 days, the money is then put into my bank. Cryptocurrency does not work that way.
But you know, Joe,
we don't have that middleman.
They do have cards that you can get that debit your crypto.
Correct.
Yeah,
that exists today.
So you have a crypto card that you can use as a Visa,
right,
or a MasterCard.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yep. And so, so it takes out the value of what it is at the time of transaction. To
Correct.
answer my question.
That's
Yep.
exactly
okay,
right.
Okay, that's cool.
As soon as it is that it's verified, this is how much he wants, this is how much I'm asking for, this is how much he's going to spend.
And then
it takes out that value based on the value in that literally second or
Yep.
few seconds.
Yep.
Bitcoin's worth this much, fraction, boom, done.
Because the reason why I was asking is from a business perspective, you could sit on it.
Yeah,
And have someone give you $500 in crypto, and if you were sitting on it, if that was an option or whatever, that could be $800 tomorrow, could
Correct.
be $400.
That's exactly
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's
why
the
I was-
risk involved, and that's what I said.
Right.
But that's my choice. That's
Yep.
up to me as to how much risk I want to handle with cryptocurrency. It isn't like in that 24-hour settlement period or 48-hour settlement period, I haven't even gotten it yet, and I've already lost 30% of my value. That's the difference with cryptocurrency. It's as soon as that transaction is closed, I have complete control of that currency. So if I want to turn it into dollars and minimize my risk, done. It's turned to dollars and the risk is minimized. I want to sit on it. Now I can see upside or I can see downside, but it's completely up to me, pretty much instantaneously.
Yeah, I was
within
curious
a minute or two.
as to what your business model was if you were taking it and immediately converting it to cash.
I haven't yet. It's
Yeah.
like I said, it's brand new. Most people really don't even know that we're accepting it, and most people really that hold cryptocurrency do not want to use it as a currency just yet. The
So
vast majority are using it as a very high risk investment.
What about the fees? So are you just eating the fees for when you actually do sell or convert it to
Yeah.
cash?
Well,
Okay.
just like credit card. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
so
a
yeah, it's
cost of
credit,
doing
yeah.
business.
Yeah.
You know, so it just is what it is. And right now, the fees are at pretty much at their highest point. And as we continue on with this, they will get lower and lower and lower because there are still middle people involved with cryptocurrency, that Coinbase or other companies
Right.
in the transaction. The more you spend, the lower the percentage is of the fee. So it's not static like with a credit card. Like if you use an American Express and say, just for round numbers, they're taking 3% of the transaction from us. Whether you spend $30 or $300 or $3,000, they're
Right.
taking the 3%. So crypto, it usually the fee drops as the amount goes up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating.
It's cool stuff. It really is.
Your motive behind it, was it just you want another avenue?
I want control. The idea that you can eliminate a middleman out of anything is awesome. So in the business, we've been in business 25 years. I buy all of my product direct from the manufacturers. To where some retailers, for whatever reason, convenience, ease of use, or they just, they spend minimal amount of money. They'll buy through a wholesaler, through that middleman. I like a direct relationship, a person to person. It tends to make things. If there's only two people involved in a transaction, it makes things easier. We just had a fight with PayPal, and I don't know if you know this, but PayPal pretty much shut down anyone who was accepting PayPal payment for tobacco products.
Yes, I actually, in my business, I built and ran point of purchase for Wilkie Pipe Tobacco, which is the old firehouse.
Yep.
But it's two separate businesses.
Yep.
And I don't do anything for the cigar retail shop. I have built his website from the ground up, WilkiePipeTobacco.com. I've handled all of his transactions. I have to educate him on compliance.
Yep.
We had to do shipping and logistics. Like in the town of in the state of Massachusetts, if you purchase on there, he can't ship in Mass.
Yeah.
So I have to have all the algorithms on the back end, having it so the transaction doesn't go through. It points the that resident to call the store and just come in and pick it up. But there is no shipping for that. I've handled that. And so to answer your question is, we got shut down from PayPal.
Yeah. Are you back up?
Not with PayPal. So
okay. So we
Are you?
we rectified the situation.
Yeah,
It was funny because there was an email that came out from one of the cigar associations saying PayPal is no longer doing business with anyone that sells tobacco products online, and that was misinformation. That was not true. Fake news. Coming at you with the fake news now.
Sure.
That was a fake news notice. I don't know if they did it. Why they did it. If it was just an honest mistake that they made, because that's what it seemed like. But if you actually read what PayPal was telling you, they said we have a protocol in place for, and it wasn't just tobacco. They do, I think, with firearms, with anything that's considered
Fun?
high risk. Well, yeah, fun, exactly. Anything, my guess is that you have to be 21 years or older, whether it was
Yeah.
alcohol, tobacco, or firearms. They have regulations and guidelines that
Yeah.
you have to follow. So we had to get our attorney involved to make sure that we were doing everything by the book. And I want to say it took about a month that we were shut down. So here's the thing. This is, and PayPal sucks, just for the record. This is one of the reasons that we're doing, that we want crypto to take over so we can eliminate companies like PayPal and eliminate companies like Visa and MasterCard and American Express. Although right now, they've made our life very, very easy. They charge crazy amounts of interest, to the consumer if they're not paying up front. So we always say pay up front so you don't pay the interest, just take the 30 days. But they're borderline criminal in how they do business with the consumer and with the retailer, because they know they have you. If you're going to do business online, how do you accept money? Crypto changes all of that. It eliminates all of them, and they're scared to death of it. And that's why Visa did get into bed with a crypto company to do that. Put a Visa on a crypto credit card. If you can, they'll automatically convert your cryptocurrency into dollars when you use it as a Visa account. They never want to be left behind, and it makes sense because they're making billions and billions and billions of dollars. And PayPal is the same way. So I got a letter or an email alert saying that PayPal has frozen my account and access to my funds. So PayPal, the same thing. When you pay with PayPal, you might be using a Visa. You're just using PayPal because it gives you added security as a consumer. Also protects us as the retailer. There's some added benefits, but the fees are higher because we're paying the credit card fee and the PayPal fee.
Right.
So for us, but same thing. I'm looking out for the consumer. If you want to do business with Regency Cigar, regencycigar.com, we're going to make it as easy, as safe, and secure as possible for you. Whatever makes you comfortable to spend money with us, that's what we want to do. We want you to feel that you're in a safe place with Regency Cigar. So we accept PayPal. You pay on PayPal, and in any given week, we'll do a few $1,000s in business on PayPal, and it sits in their account until I transfer it out.
Yep.
And typically you can do an instant transfer, which you pay a fee, but they'll transfer it to your bank account immediately. Or you can do a typical transfer, which has no fee, and it takes
3 to 4 days, I think.
2 or 3 days for it to transfer over. So we get this notification from PayPal saying your account is frozen. You don't have access to your funds. You have limited capabilities with your account. And they give you a list of all the capabilities. This is why PayPal sucks.
It's like 2 of them.
What do you think was the only capability that mattered to me that I still had?
Receive payments?
Receive payments. How about that? The one thing that they were afraid of, they're saying they're trying to protect the consumer and trying to protect underage kids from buying the product. The only thing I could do was receive payment, which meant I could take the payment, PayPal would hold on to it, and I do not have access to my money.
So what was their reason? Because you said earlier, the rule was fake news, right? The announcement was fake news.
Well,
what actually triggered that?
It was inaccurate news. I don't know why they posted the story the way they did. So PayPal did start reviewing all companies that did tobacco transactions, and it wasn't just tobacco, CBD products, and all sorts of stuff like that. Anything that had some type of age limit on it, PayPal came in and said, we need to clean this up because it is the Wild West out there with CBD products and with everything else going on. Internet has exploded over the last year, or internet commerce has exploded over the last year because of COVID, and we have a lot of people doing business with us that maybe shouldn't be doing business with us, and they can be selling to underage kids. We're not supposed to sell tobacco now to anyone under the age of 21. CBD, I'm not sure if it's 18 or 21. Obviously, alcohol is 21. So PayPal pretty much went through. I don't know how they did it, but they locked down every account. My company's pretty simple. All you have to do is look at my name, Regency Cigar Emporium, and I'm in the cigar business.
Right.
So it was easy. So they locked up every account. The email went out saying PayPal is no longer doing business with tobacco businesses. That was not true. They were no longer doing business, or they were freezing accounts that were not in compliance with PayPal guidelines. So once we proved to them that we were in compliance with PayPal guidelines, then they lifted the restrictions.
Gotcha.
So right now you can go to my website and use PayPal to make payment on a product without a problem, and I can actually get the money.
And was it more around just the age, like policing the age of the person?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It was about what do you have in place for age verification and for protection. Yep. But the funny thing is, while they were waiting for us to prove that we had age verification in place,
you had no access to your funds.
I had no access to my funds, but I could still collect money.
You collected it.
From kids. If kids were buying, which we do not sell to kids, we do have age verification in place. But that's what they were claiming. This is where they're hypocrites. What they were claiming to do, they still allowed because they wanted their transaction fees. And that's how business looks at it. And that's exactly PayPal last year announced that they were going to get into cryptocurrency transactions. You were going to be able to buy and sell cryptocurrency through PayPal. Now, they've struggled actually implementing it, and they've delayed it on multiple occasions, but PayPal wants in on the action. Why? So they can charge the fees as part of the action. Every business is going to want to get into this. Every major financial firm definitely going to want to get into cryptocurrency because, like I said earlier, we are in the infancy. This is just the beginning. I don't know what it's going to look like in the future, but I can tell you, I'm pretty damn sure it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's not going away. It is a thing, and it will be taxed.
Yeah, that's right. The government will figure out how to get money out of this. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And every other person will try to figure out how to become a middleman in this so they can shave off some percentage here and there. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. It's just pretty cool to say that Regency, is in the game, and we're the first in the game within our industry to do it and to accept it and to be successful at actually doing it. And, people remember that. People like when you do things differently. So we had one guy shot us an email asking why we don't accept Bitcash, and I said, well, right now, which is just another version of Bitcoin, it's a more stable and faster processing version of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is so tough to use in an actual transaction. And I'm like, we're just not there yet. The software isn't there yet. If I could accept 10 today, I would accept 10 today. It just doesn't matter to me whether it's this one or that one, as long as the software can handle it. What do I care? Because I can convert it into dollars. If I don't want to hold on to one versus another, I can say if you pay with Bitcoin, we're going to cash it out right away. But if you pay with Ethereum, because I think that has a more promising future, and I'm just making this up, you can pay with Ethereum, we're going to hold on to that one. I have that option with every different currency. It's just right now there are limitations in what you can do with it and how much we can accept. If like I said, 6 months from now, we might be accepting 10, 12 different cryptocurrencies as payments.
So I'm curious, since the announcement, have you been contacted by other shops?
No.
Inquiring about, how you did it? No?
No, which is kind of surprising. I wouldn't doubt that they're looking into it and that the big ones are looking into it. I can guarantee you some of the big companies out there are saying, who are these guys? And how did they beat us to this punch? It just doesn't make sense. But once in a while, that's the problem. When you get too big, you tend to lose sight of what you're doing. And unfortunately, they tend to lose sight of the consumer, of the person that they're trying to do business with on a daily basis. And that's the nice part about us. We're not the smallest guy in town. In Rhode Island, we're one of the bigger guys in the state. But when you look at the whole country, we're just a pebble, in the ocean when it comes to selling cigars online in the country. There are companies out there that are a lot bigger than us. But they're not necessarily better than us, and that's the difference. It doesn't matter your size; it's how you play the game.
Right.
And without tooting my own horn, I think we're one of the best in the business at taking care of the consumer and making sure that there's customer satisfaction on the other end. Doing everything we can to make sure that there is really no reason why they wouldn't shop with us again, because that's the bottom line. One and done is really nice, but you don't build for 25 years. You don't grow consistently and stay in business for 25 years like Regency Cigar has by just saying, I want this one sale. I want Joe to buy off of me once, and I don't care if he ever comes back. My goal is to get Joe as a customer today. And sometimes on the phone, I'll be the guy telling, and I do still answer the phones, I'll be the guy answering the phone and telling Joe, now you might not want to buy that. Try this one, and it's less money. Because we're not just concerned about maximizing that sale to the fullest. I want to maximize the sale with his satisfaction in mind. I want to maximize his satisfaction while maximizing the sale. And then that ensures that Joe comes back. And that's why we have customers all over the country, including in Rhode Island, that have been shopping with us for 25 years. We literally have customers that come into the store that were there from day one, that were pretty much there before I was, because Regency was there for 6 months before Mike Correia was there. And we have customers that have been there. And online, I got customers that used to be those customers, first-time callers, when it was that ugly website, and you couldn't even place an order online, and they would call the 800 number to place the order. I'd answer the phone then, and I still talk to them now. And once in a while, they come to visit. If they're going anywhere in New England, they're like, I got to stop at Regency Cigar. I'm going to be in New England. I'm going to stop in just to see this place. And they're always blown away because we're not this big warehouse. We're, nice shop, and we have the cigar bar now for the last 6 years attached to the store. We're a relatively small store. We have a couple of walk-in humidors in the place. One is for the public, and one is private, just for storage.
I want to get in that
but
one.
they come come in, or then there's the aging room, right? I think that's what he's talking about.
I have a story about the aging room.
Then we have the aging room, but they come in and they're like, this is it? How do you do your business online with this? And it's like, this is us. You know, we're lean and mean and get to the point, and it's simple that way. And even as we've grown, we try to keep it as tight as possible, so I never take my finger off the pulse. You know, that's the key.
Those of you not in New England, I mean, I this is a shameless plug, and I'm not blowing smoke up Mike's ass because he's sitting here, but I walked in his shop for the first time right when COVID started, so probably May or something like that, when things started to reopen, and super, like, the customer service was out of this world. Mike was actually the one there. It's the first time I met him. Went in the humidor with me, walked me through everything he had. We talked about different flavor. I mean, it was educational, and the lounge is beautiful. So if you guys can ever get down there, I highly recommend it.
It's a great place. Look, I'm there pretty much 6 to 7 days a week. My wife thinks I'm nuts. My family and friends think I'm nuts, but I love what I do. I love being there. It really is a great environment, and I tell my staff and I tell the clients, you know, treat it with respect. I'm just the guy in charge of it. It's its own entity. You know, Regency Cigars is something special. I think in the cigar world, it's up to us to be the caretakers of the place. So keeping it clean and keeping it fresh and keeping it on point and making the proper adjustments, like when we added the cigar bar on, and then we added the aging room on, we put the lockers in. When we were first built in 1996, Regency Cigar was the first cigar store, I believe, in New England with a real lounge, that it wasn't just a few chairs thrown into the corner where guys could sit down and smoke. It was a separate lounge behind the humidor. It was there, and then that became the model. We were the first store in Rhode Island with a walk-in humidor. You know, there were only a few stores in the country, and it was usually the big guys that had the walk-in humidors. So we were that store that had a beautiful walk-in humidor. And now you always see other places pop up, whether it be in Rhode Island or in Massachusetts, and everybody loves saying, you know, we've had guys come in and actually walk around the humidor and take measurements, you know, without us looking to see how big it is, so they could say, look, we have a bigger humidor. You know, so the guy opens up somewhere else and says, we got the biggest walk-in humidor in the state, or we have the biggest walk-in humidor in New England. And biggest is great, but you know, quality is everything in the cigar world. So
selection.
We focus on the actual selection and the quality of the cigars, not necessarily the size. Because like I said, I have a couple of humidors. We have one that's just for storage. We have the aging room, and then we have the regular humidor. If it was just about quantity, yeah, I could turn the whole store. Like when you go to Miami, a lot of the stores, you walk in and it's humidified.
Yeah.
Right. I could do that and put cigars all throughout the place. It isn't about quantity. You don't need to give the guys 10,000 different cigars to choose from. Most people get overwhelmed with that, and that just means you're selling a lot of inferior products, you know, and why do that? You know, and we pretty much keep it simple. If it's great and a great value at whatever price it is, and you can have a $20 cigar, that's a great value. You know, and you can have a $5 cigar, that's a great value. You know, that's what we focus on, trying to get the best in every price range. Whether you come in looking for that $5 cigar or you come in looking for the $500 cigar, you know, that we carry. It's pretty much the biggest range that you're going to see in any store in the world of prices. We literally go from $5 to $500 a stick. You know, and who else? How many other stores can say that? And you're familiar with the $500 cigar, right?
Yeah.
The Oro Blanco.
Yeah.
We were one of the first, I want to say, 13 stores in the world to carry that cigar. Davidoff approached us and asked us if we wanted to be in the Oro Blanco game. It was a brand new concept. They had developed the cigar, and they told us the story behind it. And it was one of those things, just like crypto. I don't know what the future holds with crypto, but I'm in the game. You know, we're gonna play with it, and we're gonna see if it makes life easier for us and for our customers, and if it helps our business or not. And the Oro Blanco was the same thing, and I want to say that was probably 6, 7, 8 years ago that Davidoff approached us and said, this is what we have. We'd like you to be a part of this. We think you have the type of location, the way you operate your business, you can cater to this market. And there was a minimum buy-in for these $500 cigars. It wasn't like I could just buy one. You know, you really had to commit, which makes sense. If you're going to go in, they wanted to make sure that their partnerships were going to be serious partnerships, not just doing it.
I remember picking up the box. You weren't there that day, Mike, but I remember I picked up the box, and the other gentleman that works the front there came out from the back, and he goes, "You might want to put that down."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "That's like a $10,000 box of cigars."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I brought in. It was summer of 2018. I brought in. We had an intern here from Ireland on the Security Weekly side, and he was like, do you have any good cigars and you want to go? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, we're gonna take a ride and go to the Regency. And I go to Regency, and I was telling him, he goes, "What's this room?" I go, "Oh, you can't go in there." I was like, "You can't go in there." He's like, "Why? What is it?" I was like, "I don't know. It's an aging room." Mike likes to taunt his customers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he only has certain days that he can go in there and whatnot.
Well, we've only had one day this year.
Oh, okay.
We literally we did our first event last month at some point since COVID.
Yeah.
So we typically do a lot of events in the bar and in the lounge. And with COVID, we hadn't been able to do events. The age room it's a tight room to begin with. So with social distancing rules and regulations. But even before that, so the aging room started. It was by accident, and that's usually how some of the great things happen.
Sure.
It's by accident. When we were getting ready to remodel for the lounge, when we took over the space next door and built the cigar bar, so guys could go in there, have a drink, and have a cigar and enjoy themselves. The aging room was actually the hallway on the side of the humidor to get to the back room. You remember that, right, Joe?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yep.
So the aging room was the hallway, and we were going to close it up, and we decided I was going to put the window there. And I couldn't figure out whether I was going to open up the whole humidor, knock down that inner wall, to the humidor, and just make it that much bigger to where you could see the humidor from the lounge. Because the way it's set up, there's really no cigar influence in the cigar bar. It's about the booze, and that's what it is. So I wanted a connection to the humidor. So we built it out. I said, it's not worth tearing that wall down. Let's just make this a space where we feature some of our nicer products. And as we were going through construction, I was going through the humidors, and we were trying to clean up stuff because of construction, and I started finding products that I had set aside over the years for myself, for personal consumption, a box of Davidoff from 2001, a box of Tatuajes from original release, with the original Monster release,
series,
stuff like that, Opus that I had sat on for years, and I'd hid the stuff so my guys wouldn't sell it by accident. Out of sight, out of mind. Years pass. And I got this collection of cigars hidden all over the humidor that I don't even realize, because days go on, you smoke what's new and what's coming out, and next thing you know, it's like, holy shit, look at this box. And I'd say to one of my guys, I haven't seen this box in 10 years. And when I started to find this stuff, it's like, this is what's going on display. I got shit here you can't find anywhere else in the world. And we do. I have some cigars, pre-embargoed Cubans, like 3 or 4 of them from the 1950s.
Wow.
I have some Cuban cigars that I'm not a fan of, so you don't smoke them, so they just sat there. So we put some stuff on this display. The pre-embargo Cuban cigars aren't for sale. If they were, they would be priced absolutely ridiculous, because it's something. It's more cool to have it and to say you have it than it is to monetize it.
Right.
And luckily, I'm in a position that I don't have to sell it, to put food on the table. So it's much cooler to say you have it. But at the same sense, I know I've kept the cigars in good shape. But once a cigar is 50 plus years old, I don't know what that smoking experience is going to be like.
Could be aged out.
Yeah, it could be. So you don't want to be the guy that sells the cigar to somebody else, and he decides he wants to smoke it, and then says, "Man, that really sucked,"
Right.
and then he pointed a finger at me. So a lot of the stuff isn't for sale in there. When we opened up the room, it had a beautiful display of some great cigars that you just could not find anywhere. Stuff that was literally as old as the store, if not older. And this is just 5 years ago that we opened up the room. So a lot of stuff was 20 years old or older, and then everywhere in between. And we did a grand opening for the aging room, and nobody knew what it was. I put paper over the window, so you couldn't see in it. We're opening up the age room. We did a private party for our members and VIPs, and they all came in, and they were excited to find out what was behind the curtain.
Yeah.
What did he build? Because we did a pretty good job with the bar, and we kept that a secret as well. Nobody got to see the bar until opening night, so it was pretty cool when we unveiled the bar. So I did the same thing with the aging room, and I didn't know how. I thought I priced the stuff expensive because I really wasn't motivated to sell it because it was my personal collection. And these guys went in and they went nuts. I want this, I want that, I want this. So within 5 minutes, it's like, you can buy one cigar, because I saw the room would have been wiped out. That
Right.
first night would have been wiped out. It's like, one cigar, that's it. And like, what are you talking about? Let me in the room. I'm like, yeah, now you got to pick one cigar out of the room, and that's it. And that first night,
Not one of each, just one cigar.
Just one cigar, just
One stick.
one. And
One
that
stick.
first night, I wiped out like 6 boxes of cigars. They weren't full boxes, but they were cigars that I couldn't replace.
Right.
And I almost cried. It was like, fuck, what did I do here? It's like, are you kidding? That's the last one, it's gone. And it's like, all right, we got to change this. So then it became, we're going to open it up once a week. And the guys were showing up, and they were showing up. And it's like, all right, we got to raise the prices. And we'll put resistance there. And the guys just kept buying. And it's like, all right, once a month.
Check.
Yeah, did we?
Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's me. Oh, that was me. That was my foot. Sorry.
Yeah. So you hit resistance there. Yep. Go ahead.
So I put my own resistance. So we were looking for resistance and never hit it until I closed the room. And then it's like, all right, I'm just going to open it up on special occasions. And that was it. I think last year, before COVID, so 2019, we maybe opened it up 4 times. And it was by reservation. If we said it's going to be open up on Friday, if you want, have a reservation, so we could control how many people were actually. Well, I would know how many cigars we were going to sell. And then that's it. Last year or this year, we've opened it up once. I have no idea when I'll open it up again. But we have some pretty affluent customers, so they come in, and the common joke is your retail model is funny because you said you admired my model. It is different. Your model is to have products and display the products, but not sell the products. I want to buy that. No, thank you. You can't buy it. I don't want your money for that product. And
it works.
It works. Yeah. They want it that much more. And the funny thing is, you guys have been in the regular humidor. There is some great product.
Oh yeah,
in the regular
great
humidor. The selection is outstanding. So when Lito Gomez came to visit, and I've known Lito for a long time, he came to the store. He's been to the store many times, but the last time he came to the store was the first time that he saw the aging room. He had seen the bar, but we hadn't opened up the aging room yet, and he saw the aging room. And he was walking down the hallway, and it was lit up, and it's kind of like a picture on the wall, that big window, and it was lit up, and the lighting's pretty cool in there from the bar side because the bar is dim. And he stopped dead in his tracks. We were walking to the bar, and he stopped dead in his tracks and just looked over, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Well, that's the aging room, this and that." And I told him that.
Can't go in there,
I told him the story. Yeah, you can't go in there.
You can't go in there.
And he said, "Mike, I've been all over the world. I haven't seen anything like this." He said, "That is the coolest thing I'd ever seen." He says, "I have some product if I send it to you." He said, "I got some of my own stuff that I've been sitting on, in the warehouse." He's like, "If I send it to you, I'd be honored if you put it in the aging room." I'm like, "Lito, I'd be honored to accept it." How cool is that? But when he stopped and he's like, "You're on to something. We just do what we do. I don't know if it's the best. I don't know if it's different. I just know I know how to do what I know how to do the way I know how to do it. I never claim that my way is the only way or it's the best way. It's just the way that I know how to do things. And it's worked for me and it's worked for Regency Cigar." But when you have a guy like that come in and say, "I've been all over the world in this business and I've never seen anything like this," that means something. When Pete Johnson came in, from Tatuaje, same thing. Ernesto, same thing. Guys just get blown away. And when it's somebody, Kellner Jr., Henke's son, came in, he was like, "Oh my God, how is no one else?"
It's a cool feature.
How has no one else ever thought of this? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I didn't think of it either. It happened, by accident. It's kind of one of those things you probably can't think of. And then when you see it, it's like, how dumb was I not to do this years ago?
Sooner.
Yeah. And that's it. And since then, other companies have done their own version of it. That's what I'm told.
Sure.
And people are like, "Does it piss you off?" And it's like, no, look, flattery.
Imitation is the best form of flattery.
That's exactly right. It's always nice. I guarantee you. So we're the first with cryptocurrency. I'm pretty sure within a month or two, you're going to see somebody else in the industry say, "We now accept cryptocurrency." And just because you're first, the only benefit that comes with that is you get to say you're first. It's other than that, all the risk is on you. So we're the ones that we've got the
You're
jokes.
the guinea pig.
Yeah, exactly right. But that's what comes along.
But that's
with
why
it.
I'm surprised no one's. I figured once that announcement came out, by the time you got to the show, you would have said, "I've been getting calls all week from other shops."
No, they'll probably do it on their own. So
they will do it on their own. As a matter of fact, I've noticed since you've released the press release, and I'm a email member for most of the local establishments.
Yeah.
2 of them have established crypto clubs.
Yeah.
Crypto what?
Clubs.
Yeah.
Clubs.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, could you at least wait for the body to turn cold?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
No, but it's smart business on their part, right?
Sure.
If you see a good idea, it's smart business to copy
capitalize
it
on it.
or work off of it. That's exactly right. That's the bottom line.
I look at that email and I say, "Oh, genius, right? Start a crypto club. See how many people show up to the cigar event. See if your target audience for your club even has crypto, right?
Yep.
And see if it makes it worth your while from a business standpoint to do it.
yeah.
Right? Because if
It's
you
almost a focus group.
it's nothing more than a cigar event, right? You have a cigar event of a new cigar, and someone comes in, and if you bought 15, 20 boxes for that, and you blow through 12 of them, if that's, and normally you only blow through 5 of them, you say, hey, I might want to look into this line further. I mean, it's no more than event-based focus groups or some who use events for cash infusions.
That's right.
Whatever they need to do. The business model is the business model, right? But when I look at it, that's how my brain operates. I look at it like, oh, wow, all they're doing is creating like a focus group to find out if their target audience of the regulars who go to their particular shop are even into crypto, to see if it's worth them to even pursue that as an option, so they can say, I'm just like X. Yeah. Which in this place, X is RegencyCigar.com. You know, do I have you for another 10 minutes? Because I did say 2:30, but I'm
here for the long haul. Loving this.
You wanted me to remind you to do something.
Yeah. And you were worried about not talking about crypto for an hour.
I know he was.
Oh yeah, you're good. Don't worry
about crypto. What are you talking about?
Just getting a seat, smoke a cigar. I want to take 30 seconds to talk about what the hell we're smoking. This is a freaking phenomenal stick.
So if you've seen my Instagram, Facebook, TikToks, you know, we're online. If you've been in my store, if you've been in the bar, this is my favorite cigar on the planet. It's made by Davidoff. You know, it is the Davidoff Colorado Claro anniversary number 3. I'm not saying it's the best cigar in the world, but I'd say it's one of the best cigars in the world. And for me, it is the best cigar in the world. Keep in mind, it is relative. It is subjective, you know, to your taste and your flavor. But this is one of the few cigars that, and Padron is the perfect example. Padron Aniversario has some diehard loyal fans that they love their Padrones, and nothing else compares to Padrones. But yet when they get this cigar in their hand, and it tastes nothing like a Padron.
No.
They get the cigar in their hand, and it's like, wow, that is good. And when you see that Padron guy who that's all he smokes, goes back and buys another one of these, then you know it's something special, because they never tried to be a knockoff to Padron. It has nothing to do with Padron. It is the perfectly balanced cigar. It has a good amount of strength, a good amount of flavor. It is smooth as silk. It's just Davidoff Colorado Claro is the line. The anniversary number 3 is its own blend. So it's the anniversary series. There's the double R, the special R, the short perfecto, the special T, and then the anniversary number 3. All the others are blended with the same tobacco. The anniversary number 3 is blended to be a little bit stronger, have a little more strength and a little more body to it. It's a great selling line, and I like the other sticks, but it's like this one was made for my palate. If I was going to blend the cigar, for me, this is the cigar. So when I come to something like this, I want to share and enjoy, you know, my favorite cigar with some great people. There's nothing, you can have the best cigar in the world. If you sit there and smoke an Oro Blanco by yourself, you're out of your fucking mind. You know, when you smoke something like this, you want to be in good company, whether it's friends, family, whomever, father and son. You know, we love to see that at the bar. This is the type of cigar, when I hand it out and to friends like you guys, it's always fun to get the reaction if you haven't smoked one before, because regardless of what you smoke, it might not be your favorite. You're not going to, I don't expect you to say, oh, this is the best cigar I've ever smoked. This is my favorite cigar ever. But I do expect that kind of reaction. This is absolutely amazing. This is a great cigar. It is a memorable cigar. Kudos to Davidoff. Kudos to Henke Kellner for blending this. It's just absolutely outstanding. I can't get enough of them. I would smoke this every day if it was something, you know, it's just not meant to be, because you tend to lose appreciation for it. And that's one of my favorite quotes from Zeno Davidoff was smoke better, smoke less. And we kind of use that. It's not just about having a cigar in your mouth. It's supposed to be an experience. It's supposed to be an enjoyment. It's not a habit. It's not like smoking a pipe or like smoking cigarettes. You're not inhaling the smoke. It's about the flavor. It's about that experience. It's about time well spent with friends or family. And this is the perfect example of that cigar. If I smoke this all the time, it loses some of that niche. You have to mix it up just to have that appreciation for that special cigar. And we're at Regency Cigar, we focus on, we sell everything, but we focus on that special cigar. Everyone should enjoy themselves. We say once a week, once a month, once a quarter, once a year, at a minimum on your birthday. You know, at a minimum, go grab something special, go grab something you would never spend that money on, whatever that price range is, and treat yourself to something different, something unique, something that you would normally consider out of your price range, because that's what it's like to smoke better, smoke less. If you have a cigar budget, literally cut back on a couple of cigars, you know, and then go grab that special cigar. And make sure you go to somebody that isn't just recommending something because it's expensive, but it fits your flavor profile or it fits your palate. So we did Cigar of the Year at Regency Cigar at the bar 2 years. It was not blind. We did not do blind tasting because we did that a few years back. And it ended up being a game where all guys, they didn't want to rate the cigars, they wanted to guess the cigar. So it became more a guess what you're smoking versus rate what you're smoking. So we did Cigar of the Year, and the first year we did like 12 different cigars, and this one. And then, there's only so many cigars that really qualify to say this is one of the best cigars in the humidor. And it might have been 14, but there was a handful of cigars, all lines, I should say. So, and it came down to this and the Padron Family Reserve number 45 Maduro. Two completely different cigars.
Sure, right, yeah.
And it won, so we averaged out the scores. It was a scale of 1 to 10, and you could do a 9.5 or a 7.8. We just did an average, and it was literally a tie. It came within like a tenth of a point within each other. And so I told guys, I'm like, guys, it's pretty much a virtual tie. Once everything was done, it was this and Padron 45.
Yeah.
And it's like, and everybody, no one wanted to hear it. It's like, we don't want a tie, we want a winner.
Were you the tiebreaker?
I would know. I went by the numbers. So
That's unfair.
We just went out the hundredths, or thousandths in the score just to pick. So the first year was literally a tie. So the second year, I just said, look, we're going to go right. No, I think we did it 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I think we did it again, and it won again. And then I said, well, screw it. We're just going to go. And it was the same two cigars, Family Reserve.
At the top?
At the top, and this one. And then the next year I said, well, we're just going to break it down to these two cigars. You buy them both at the same time. We gave you a deal to try them both and to participate because we wanted your feedback. So we were pretty much paying for your feedback on the cigar. Give us an honest rating on the cigar, and it won every time. So this past year, 2019, we did Davidoff versus Cuban. And I said, because I'm not a Cuban cigar fan. I've smoked a lot of Cuban cigars between the construction, the young age of the tobacco. I've smoked the Cohiba Bejique, and a friend of mine gave me one, and that's like $100 cigar. And we lit it up together, and I was smoking it for about 10, 15 minutes. And he's like, what do you think? And I'm like,
Tobacco's not ready.
I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm pretty much grossly underwhelmed. And his response was, yeah. The first half hour kind of sucks. But it gets better. Yeah, and that's what if I wasn't smoking with him, I would have chucked it already. I don't care how.
Sure.
I'm there to have a good experience.
Yeah.
I would have thrown it out. So he said, yeah, the first half hour kind of sucks, but it builds and it gets better. And he was right. It did get better. But if you're spending $100 on a cigar,
Right.
none of it should suck. That's unless you burn your tongue or your lips because you've smoked it down to nothing to where you're now smoking the fire, the cinders. It should, nothing about that cigar should suck. And that's the epitome of what I believe is Cuban cigars. And it's not that tobacco's bad. It's just that it's a major export for the country. It's a very poor country. They desperately need the money. So they pump out the cigars. And if you go anywhere else in the world, they're desperate for Padrones. They're desperate for Davidoffs. They're desperate for Fuentes, for so many other great cigars. And that's why a company like La Flor Dominicana is expanding internationally at a pretty rapid pace because they want better quality at a better value throughout the world. It's only in the U.S. because they're illegal, and we have that mentality that we have to have what we're not supposed to have. What you can't get is what you want. So we did a tasting to where we can't sell Cuban cigars legally in this country. So we did a tasting to where if you bought 2 of these, I was personally going to give you a gift of a Cuban cigar. Sure. We did Monte Cristo number 2, and that's pretty much how I did it. This is my gift to you. Smoke it, and do me a favor, smoke it here, and rate it for me. Scale of 1 to 10. Half the cigars they couldn't smoke. And those were, I want to say, 4 or 5 years old, the ones that I had given them. And I know they were authentic. They came from a legitimate retailer outside of the country, but they were plugged. And then the other ones, the best rating I think it got was like an 8. So this cigar completely blew away the Cubans.
Oh yeah.
So it is safe to say, in my world, if you're gonna look at cigars, at a minimum, there's 2 cigars out there that are better than just about any Cuban cigar on the planet, and that is Padron Aniversario, Padron Family Reserve, and the Davidoff Colorado Claro Anniversary number 3. According to my own taste, and according to a good amount of my customers, real smokers, that decided this sucks, we like this.
Yeah.
Or at a minimum, this one was pretty good. And there were some guys that had that, and once in a while you do get that Cuban that it's like, wow, this is not a bad cigar. This is a pretty good smoke. But if you bought a box of them, there's at least 20% that are not going to play out that way.
Yeah.
To where you buy a box of Padrones, every cigar in that box is going to smoke exactly the same. A box of Davidoff, every cigar in that box. Fuente, pretty much the same thing. Every cigar in that box is going to smoke the same. And that's what you pay for. You pay for that quality. You pay for that consistency. Not just that quality, 1 out of every 3 cigars. It should be that quality, every single cigar in that box, and then the next box, and the next box, and the next box. And you just don't see that with Cubans. So I get a lot of flack. Anytime I trash Cubans online, we get a lot of haters come out. You just don't like them because you can't sell them. You can't make money off of them, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure, it is what it is. Go try them, and if you did that blind taste test, if you put it up against a Padron or a Davidoff or even a Fuente Don Carlos, forget an Opus X. There are so many great cigars out there that, to me, just blow away your typical Cuban cigar. It just doesn't make sense. If you were anywhere else in the world, you'd be dying for a Davidoff, dying for a Padron, dying for an LFD, a Tatuaje. There's so many, an Ashton. There's so many good brands. It just doesn't make sense.
We got to have Mike on. Who was that gentleman?
I was going to go there. I was going to say, to back up what you said, we had a gentleman on Paul Security Weekly, and he found out, and I'm using air quotes for those of you who listen to audio, Paul has a cigar show, quote unquote, right? And we had him on, and his name was Bill DeLisi. So if you go to StogieGeeks.com and type in Bill DeLisi, it was only like 10 episodes back or so. And so you'd be in the 350 range as far as the episode number. But he does business with Cuba. Like it was Stogie Geeks 357. Thank you, Goose. And so you go to StogieGeeks.com/357. Just like today, when you want the show notes and the press release and information about Regency, go to StogieGeeks.com/363. So he does cybersecurity business in Cuba and whatnot, and he was telling us like the business model of how they calculate the actual lots of whatever brand and whatnot, and how it absolutely positively must yield X amount of cigars. And so they just throw everything in and do their thing because they said he said exactly what you said, is they need the money.
They need the money.
And what's funny is if you watch that episode, if you get about 38 minutes deep or 40 minutes, could be an hour and 38 minutes knowing me.
It was a long show.
All right, it was a long show. but I kept asking him the same thing, and he was like, "Joe, I already answered it. Like it's they need the money. Like that's it." I'm like, "Wait a minute, they don't focus on quality. This is a communist country, kid. Like exactly. You know what I mean? And to back that up, and also to back up what you've said, I've said you could be the host of Stogie Geeks, because I think this is probably the least amount of time that I've spoken.
It was the Correia show.
That's too funny. The new StogieGeeks.com with podcasts with Mike Correia.
Right? It's funny because I've always said like Davidoff just does everything right.
Yeah.
Like they just that's it.
They really do.
And Padron.
And they get criticized for it.
Consumers. Oh, I ain't spending $20.
Davidoff. They're the elite.
They're consistent.
They're consistent.
But I tell people the same thing you said to back that up. If you're a two-stick guy or gal, give yourself the budget money.
Correct.
And smoke one freaking Davidoff for 20, 25. You won't be disappointed.
That's right. Cut out the Starbucks for a week.
Sure.
Go buy a Davidoff, and you are going to have a cigar smoking experience that will change. It will be memorable. Like you hear that sometimes, the guys go on vacation and it's like, oh, best cigar I ever had. I was on the beach. The girls were in bikinis,
of course,
whatever.
It's the best cigar.
It was my wedding, or
could be smoking a Floyd de Oliva.
The birth of my baby. And we do this. It's like, guys, I'm going to have a baby. I need to buy a box of cigars. I smoke Fuentes. It's like, all right, so what are you going to give out? Well, I was going to give out Fuentes. It's like, are you kidding me? You're having your first child and you're going to smoke the same cigar you smoke every day?
Yep.
No, this is a special occasion. Tie it to a special cigar. Just like with the booze.
Yep.
You drink scotch on a regular basis, Johnny Walker Black. That special occasion, grab a glass of Johnny Walker Blue or, something special. Put the stamp on it that this is meaningful, and it only takes a little bit of time, a little bit of extra money. It was the same thing, eliminate a couple of glasses. But I don't even say, cut into cigars. If that's what it takes, cut into the cigars and take that money and buy something special. Or cut into the Starbucks coffee. Starbucks doesn't need your freaking money. Cut into the Starbucks coffee, take that extra $3 a day, and at the end of the week, go buy yourself
$3. Where are you going?
Yeah, I order regular coffee. I'm not doing the mocha chaka faka, shit. I order a coffee. That's it. So, but that's what I'm talking
I go to
about.
Starbucks. Like I'm not a Starbucks guy, but like on the weekends, pre-baby, when my girl would want coffee, she's a Starbucks girl, right? And so she orders the freaking mocha fracca, whatever, right? I'm like, yeah, can I have a large hot black? Like, do you need room? No, I ordered it black. You know what I mean? Like,
that's me.
Well, it's venti, venti, verdi, whatever you want.
I want coffee.
I want big, bold, and black coffee. That's it. Like, that's all I need. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And they're like, you get out of my line. I need somebody who's going to spend $6-7 for that coffee, right? I want
2 Starbucks. You can buy a Davidoff.
So the key is you take the $6, I think, instead of Mike's $3 a day. Invest into Bitcoin.
There you go.
Then go to RegencyCigar.com and buy some cigars, and you'll be ahead of the game.
That's exactly right. That's right. Now you're smoking for free.
And
if you put the money to proper use, you're
way to
smoking
bring it
for
back,
free.
Joe.
That's right.
You could be like smoking Davidoffs for $8.
See, that's exactly why I'm not ready to host this show. I would have never done that seamless bring back just like that. See, that's a pro. That's a pro. I'm just an amateur hack.
I think
putting on a show for an hour and a half.
should be an everyday occurrence.
It should be. It should be.
Hell yeah.
I agree.
Well, it is for me. I have cigars daily. It's a blessing.
As do I.
It's a blessing and a curse. Like I'm like, okay, it's in the morning. Now that I'm on quasi paternity leave, like I'm working from home. Other than Stogie Geeks, like I get up in the morning and like I'm on the deck and I'm like, thank God it's God. See, my son. The first son was born in September, so it's starting to get cold. But this son was born in May, so the weather's getting better, right? So every day I'm out there, it's getting warmer and warmer. And I'm out on the deck, and it's like, she goes, you do that every day? I'm like, yeah, every day. Like in the morning? I'm like, yeah, in the morning. And quite frankly, I'm actually smoking less that I'm home because I'm home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The deck can only get so too boring. And there you go. And as a matter of fact, the last Stogie Geeks episode, I talked about when my son was born and I finally got out to a cigar shop, the first freaking cigar I grabbed was a Davidoff. Like I was like freaking, I was like, I gotta, it's just a special occasion. Even though if I go to your place or whatever, I go to your place because I want Davidoff. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Or those Tatuaje Mexican experiments. I love
DME
those.
is great.
I freaking love those things.
I'm not a fan of those.
Really?
The Mexican tobacco just doesn't do it for me. I love their traditional Hunter series, the one still made in Miami, and their anniversary series. The 15th anniversary, I just thought was absolutely outstanding. He hit a home run with both wrappers. He's got the 2 shade of wrappers on it. But the Mexican experiment missed the mark for me. The only cigar with a Mexican wrapper that I enjoyed actually came from Pete in Tatuaje. It was the Monster. I think it was the Leatherface.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That
Face.
cigar,
No, it's Face.
The Face. That cigar was outstanding, and it blew. I would have bet $1,000 that it did not have a Mexican wrapper on it, just because usually I can tell, but they did the way that wrapper was treated, fermented or cured or something. They did something to that wrapper that it was different from any Mexican tobacco that I had tasted. Just not a fan for my personal taste. Doesn't mean that the cigar is not good. It just means my personal preference. That's not my style. It's and that's what it comes down to cigars. You go into a cigar store, I'm telling you, this is one of the best cigars I've ever smoked, and a lot of my customers say exactly the same thing. One of the best cigars I ever smoked. So if enough people say it, then you tend to say, I think it's one of the best cigars out there. But other than that, if I'm just going to tell you it's the best cigar because I like it, that's just stupid. It's completely meaningless if you come in and you have completely different taste than me. If you're a red wine drinker and I tell you you must try this Chardonnay because it's the best wine on the planet, and you don't like Chardonnay, I don't care how good it is, you're not going to enjoy it. So it really has to match up to your palate and to your flavor profile, and it plays a big difference. So if they're telling you it's the best of the best just because, now, the way I see it with this cigar, enough people have said it. I think you guys are enjoying them quite a bit as much. Yeah. It's just, all I can say, it doesn't matter if it's the best, it's outstanding. And there's a lot of other Davidoffs out there, but there are a lot of Ashtons, Tatuajes. Look, just right, they love the Mexican experiment. I love the Hunter series. Both Tatuaje products. One, I won't smoke on a regular basis. One, I will smoke on a regular basis. That's it. Doesn't make it better or worse, just means my taste lines up with this cigar, your taste lines up with that cigar, and that's it. You'd be amazed how many customers don't realize that, and they get hooked up on, what do you smoke? Well, it doesn't matter. If your taste is this, I'm happy to tell you,
Sure.
but it really isn't going to line up necessarily with your flavor. But this cigar, for some reason, does tend to transcend past your typical flavor profiles. You know, to where that guy who likes Nicaraguan tobacco, there's no Nicaraguan in here, but I know of 2 local customers that were Padron guys and only Padron guys. That's all they smoked. And now they smoke these in Padrones.
Yeah.
And they'll come back and say, geez, I'm in the mood for, one of those Colorado Claros. And it just blows my mind because you don't see too many cigars that have that effect on people.
Did you get a little grass? When I first started smoking it, I got a little grass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
I always describe it to the Stogie Geeks listener for years as that Davidoff hay.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Davidoff has a unique characteristic to their sticks. It's that Davidoff, and it's not really barnyard. I can't describe it
not
other than
farmy.
hay. It's Davidoff hay. I've been saying it.
But that's Dominican tobacco. I mean, you grab
Yeah.
an Ashton, you get some of that same, even the Ashton cap, you get some of that same type of flavor. It's just one of those things with Dominican tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Davidoff or anybody else making a good Dominican cigar, you do get some of that grass. And when you say grass or hay, it's not enticing. So guys kind of get turned off by it, but it works. Like if you say chocolate and a guy likes chocolate, he's like, oh my God, I got to try that. The Padron, there's a lot of chocolate flavor. Some of it just sounds better. You say, oh, there's, hints of vanilla. Well, that sounds delicious, if you like vanilla, But if you say grass or hay or even leather sometimes, like I love that leathery taste.
yeah.
And
yeah.
I get some of that.
What about manure?
Some of that with the, well, once in a while you'll hear that.
On some Cubans, I get manure, and I actually know it's going to be a great smoke.
Yeah,
because it could be manure.
that's right.
No, I'm only
But they say, when was the last time you really tasted manure? And it's like, well, it doesn't necessarily
It's
work
not even
out
the
that
taste;
way.
it's the smell.
Yeah, and it's more in the smell, which does play a very prominent role in tasting, right?
Yeah.
When
Right.
you retrohale, you really open it up to more flavor. But yeah, it does have that, but it has a little bit of spice, and I love spice.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but it's just enough for me because typically most of the cigars that I'll smoke, other than this, have a lot more of that spice or that pepper to it. It does have some leather. It has some fruit in it. It's very floral. It has a little bit of everything in there, and I think that's one of the reasons that it works for
And
me.
it has that. I always find Davidoff's are very creamy.
Yeah.
And it's good, especially as I'm getting into the last third here. I'm picking up a lot of creaminess.
It's there. If you have not tried it, Davidoff Colorado Claro, anniversary number 3, it will change your life. Guaranteed.
Are you going to the shop?
I'm going
after
to the
this?
shop right after
All right,
this.
good.
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah. So are you. Awesome.
I'm going to
awesome.
visit you for sure there.
You going to the PCA this year?
I am going. Yeah. So a lot
Did
of
I open a can of worms?
Oh, there goes another hour.
sorry,
no.
Joe.
A lot
I'm
of
sorry.
controversy there. I haven't been in a couple of years.
Sure.
I don't go every year. I haven't always seen the value in going, and I know there's a lot of controversy in some of the big companies, like Davidoff, are not going because they don't think that it's offering the value, and they're looking for some change in the leadership or in how things are done within the organization, but or maybe for the organization to step up a little better with legislation and stuff. There's a lot of infighting, and I don't know. And all I know is that there is an organization there. I pay my dues every year, whether I go to the show or not. You have to support the organization because it's there to support us. And if we don't support it, there's not going to be anything to support us. Just like you said, we've seen each other down at the State House.
Sure.
Anytime local legislation is trying to pass new bills, and it's usually tax increases. It was just about every year under the former governor. Every single year it was under the budget for tax increases. We'd go down and fight it. And it was always cool that you saw the same core of retailers there. Not all the retailers. So, I'm pointing the finger at you guys out there that don't participate in fighting legislation in Rhode Island or in your state. It is up to us. If we don't fight, nobody else is going to fight for us. And that's the thing. It's our responsibility to take care of that fight. The manufacturers are fighting the fight with the FDA and on a national level. That's not necessarily my fight, and I'm not big enough. But on a state level, especially in a state like Rhode Island, that's so small, where everybody knows everybody, less than 1 million in population in the whole state. If you can't get off your ass and fight for your livelihood and for your business and to protect yourself and your consumers from excessive taxes, then shame on you. It's just wrong. But there's a core group of retailers that show up every time, and sometimes we get drinks together, or we hang out together, and we talk quite often, whether it's about legislation or what's going on. Brian from Breakwater, I was just with him a couple of days ago. Cool guy. He was down there the last couple of times we had a fight. That's what it takes. We saw throughout COVID, if you come into my bar, I get the Constitution Bill of Rights up on the wall.
Nice.
And I put it up as a reminder. We didn't have any art on the wall for several years, and I had those. They were given to me by my sister, and I was going to put them in the members lounge. And my bar was shut down for 6 months. I think I was the last bar to open up in the state. Whether it was smart or stupid, I don't know, but I was the last bar to open up in the state because I said I didn't want to open up if I couldn't do things the way we do things. And they had so many crazy regulations. But my business, they literally tried. They shut down the bar. The store never shut down. We still operated as best as we could. But we forget some of the rights that we have, or that we're supposed to have, given to us by the Constitution. And a lot of people forgot, as governors and mayors and Congress and Senate just started saying, do this, do that. Local businesses implementing new rules. You got to do this, you got to do that. Nobody knows what was legal or what wasn't legal, what was constitutional or what wasn't constitutional. And there's a right time and place to do the fight. And frankly, in the state of Rhode Island, when the legislation is there, when you see what they're going to vote on, if that doesn't get you up to fight, it doesn't mean you have to be there every day or every week or every month. But when somebody puts a direct attack on your business, and it's exactly what it is, a direct attack on your business, you have to stand up for yourself and for your business and for your clients. And that's what we do. And we're lucky there are some good other guys in the state. Everybody thinks you're competitors, and you're not supposed to get along with these guys. But the bottom line, there's a face behind every business. There's a personality back there. There's a guy back there, love me or hate me or anywhere in between. I know the whole spectrum is covered. There are people that love me, like my mom, and then there are people out there that definitely hate me, and there's people all the way in between. I stand up for myself. I stand up for my business. I stand up for my customers, and I love and respect every other retailer in every business. If you're willing to stand up for your business and for your clients, then you have my respect. Whether we're competitors or not, I believe there's more than enough money to go around. You're talking trillions of dollars floating around in the global system. What's a little bit here or a little bit there? There is more than enough money to go around, and some of these guys have become very close friends of mine over the years, and I love them dearly. And I go to their place if they have a bar, and I'll sit there and have a drink just to get away from my own place. Sure. And I know our clients do the same thing. You could live in East Greenwich, but you're going to dinner in Providence, so you're going to go to one of the places in Providence. So I tell my guys all the time, you're going to Providence, go to Tel Aviv. Go to Cigar Masters at Tel Aviv. Free plug for Tel Aviv there. Great place on the waterfront in Providence. Jack, dear friend of mine, his partner Mark, two great guys that I get along with great. Absolutely love going there. They have food. They do a fantastic job. And people are blown away when they see me there hanging out with those guys. And it's like, this is what you're supposed to do. You don't have to hate each other to be in the same business. That's exactly right. Well, there's more than enough business to go around.
It starts off when I began the interview. You've always been internally centered.
Yeah,
you've done your thing, and
that's right.
And that's like the best advice I can give anybody. Like I even, on some of the clients that I deal with here in the premium cigar industry, I'm like, dude, why are you worried about like what somebody else is doing, man? Just do you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Focus on your business.
Focus on your business and your business model, right. and your ROI, and who has time for the other stuff?
Exactly. If you're focused on somebody else's business or what your competitor is doing, there's a little business lesson, then that means that you're not focused on what you're doing and you're dropping the ball. Yep. That's the bottom line. You're not giving your best effort towards your business to be successful. You probably shouldn't. And you typically see that. The person who's obsessed with what everybody else is doing usually goes out of business and blames everybody else, or blames government, or blames the taxes or stuff like that. And there are some guys in the state that say 50 cents on a cigar. We had this conversation earlier. Yeah. That's not a bad tax. Even if it went to $1 a stick.
Come to Massachusetts.
100% increase. That's what they wanted to do. Go to $1 a stick, right?
Yeah.
Even if it goes to $1, it's really not that bad. And they say, well, Mike, you sell high-end cigars. You sell $20, $30, $40 cigars. What's another $1? It's like, fuck that. Another $1 is another $1. They should not be taxed.
They should not be taxed.
What else are you taxing like that? Where else do you see 100% increase, in any type of tax? It's just because we're the minority and somebody sees tobacco as evil or wrong. It's like,
we could do a whole other show with Mike.
Yeah. Full disclosure.
I think we could do a lot.
To the Stogie Geeks. I've said this on probably within 5 episodes ago, where when the issue of taxes come up, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, it's funny because you get like 30 of us in a room. There should have been 40 of us in a room.
Yeah.
As far as the cigar shop owners.
Yep.
And like everyone who got a chance to speak is saying like, we can kind of live with 80 cents per 50 cents. And walks Mike. He slams his freaking briefcase down. He's like, this freaking 50 cents is bullshit.
It's insane.
Did you say that?
I did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was like, his exact quote, and I remember it is, I admire you from afar. And I remember sitting there, and he says, you guys tax us and all these businesses behind me, because he's up at the podium, right? You tax us and 50 cents, this and that. He goes, I'm going to tell you why it shouldn't even, his words, not mine, right? I'm putting words in your mouth because you said it, right? Right? Tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to tell you, and he points to all of them, why it shouldn't even be 50 cents.
Yeah.
It should be reversed. I'm not here to say it shouldn't increase. I'm here to say it should be reversed.
Correct.
His words. I'm like,
Wow.
dude. I was like, I fucking love this guy.
And that's
I love this guy.
That's the real. You know how much revenue we could collect in sales tax. Sales tax alone, if they eliminated the 50-cent cap, if they eliminated tobacco tax on cigars in Rhode Island, my sales would go through the roof easily. It would give people a reason to shop local again. And when you talk to every single consumer, we know we have a lot of guys that come in and we match anybody's price. If I can verify a price online, I'll match it. If you really want to keep your business local, if you're in the state of Rhode Island, we'll match any price that they come in with. All we do, pull it up on the screen. They're telling me they're shopping from Joe Blow's Cigar Out, whatever. This is what I pay. I can verify that price is real. I'm going to sell you that cigars plus the 7%. The stacks. Look, we do need taxes to pay for service and stuff, and they waste plenty of money on a federal level and on a state level. But the bottom line is, overtaxation doesn't work. It's exactly what happened when we were at 40% tobacco tax with no cap. And we worked our ass off to get a cap in on premium cigars, and we proved that sales tax revenue would increase. And all they were focused on was that 40%, and the anti-smoking population just wants to eliminate tobacco. They want to tax tobacco into oblivious. They want it to be completely illegal.
They want it to go away.
We're making marijuana legal. It's easy to get marijuana now in states like Massachusetts, right? Massachusetts, it's sold to the public. Yeah. There's less tax on marijuana than there are on tobacco in the state of Massachusetts. How nuts is that? But this is what we're dealing with. Yeah, this is a whole other topic for a completely different show.
Yeah.
But that's my stance on the 50 cents is too much. You eliminate that 50 cents and the sales tax will go through the roof. And the state will net collect more money at the end of the year.
Mike.
And that's the
They're
bottom
not
line.
that smart.
If you're looking to increase tax revenue, sometimes you have to lower it. You have to lower one to increase the other. But they just don't figure that out.
They don't see the math.
They really don't. It's sad. It's sad. But that's my fight. Like Joe said, they go in there and people are like, no. Maybe we should settle in the middle somewhere. If you're pushing for $1, let's negotiate to 75 cents. And it's like, you're out of your freaking mind. It shouldn't work that way. What are you thinking? And I had this conversation with another retailer. He's telling me, $1 ain't bad. Don't fight it. It gives us more of an even playing field, especially if they ban tobacco products coming into the state from other retailers. And I'm like, dude, that's unconstitutional. What are you talking about? Are you an American or are you just a,
I know.
It's like, it's okay to ban their business, but don't ban my business. Right. Come on, this is how it starts. They go after you, nobody says something. Then they go after you and I don't say anything. Then they go after the, eventually they're coming for me.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it. Once they eliminate all those out-of-state retailers from selling into the state, what do you think they're going to do with our taxes? Through the roof, because they know now there's no competition. We can charge whatever we want, and that's it. When they take away your freedoms, when they overtax you, there's something to be said there, that you have to stand up for yourself. And I'm not talking Democrats or Republicans or anything. I'm an independent. I think both sides are full of shit. Republican or Democrat, they're both on the wrong side. They're feeding their own pockets, and that's the bottom line. They'll go after cryptocurrency when they figure out how to benefit from it. And that's the bottom. And I don't care what side it is. We've seen it from both sides. So it has nothing to do with picking a side. It's just what's American and what's un-American. And excessive taxing is definitely un-American. And to pick an industry just because you don't like it or you don't agree with it, that's even worse. That's just borderline communism. To just say tobacco, we don't believe that's good for you, so we're going to tax the shit out of it. There's nothing worse than that. If you said tobacco because we want to do this, or because we think we need to regulate it more, and they use that as a veil to cover it up as an excuse, and then the money goes into the general fund and gets blown on everything else. It would be one thing if you were actually going to use that money properly. Then we could talk about society really needs some extra money, but our state and our federal government blow through money like there's no tomorrow. So stop picking my pocket. And that's what I told them last time. Just all I'm asking is that you keep your hands out of my pocket. That's it. I'll pay my taxes, my fair taxes, but stop calling me up here every year telling me you're going to put your hand in my other pocket.
Right.
You're already in one pocket. Don't come into all of my pockets. So we have some fun with it, but it is what it is. You have to stand up for your own business. You have to stand up for your own habits. There's even a lot of cigar smokers, and I'll finish with this, who say, well, it's a bad habit anyways. Well, that's all well and good, but you shouldn't be taxed if you believe it's a bad habit.
Right. We're all adults.
Yeah, they're exactly right. You can say the same thing about alcohol. You can say the same thing about potato chips. You can say the same thing about fast food. If it comes to bad habits, as Americans, we have a lot of bad habits.
Right.
If you're just going to tax the hell out of all of them, what's left? It just doesn't make sense.
More people have died on a Peloton treadmill than smoking Davidoffs.
That's exactly right.
Well said.
And it goes back to smoke better, smoke less.
Smoke better, smoke less.
That's it.
And shop at Regency
And shop at Regency Cigar and RegencyCigar.com.
Before we publish this to the podcast next week, is there any way to insert "My Country 'Tis of Thee" through that speech he just did? Because I was picturing that playing at the American flag.
We could do that. We add it to the long list.
It was funny. Once I get going, one year down at the State House, I didn't even realize it, but I just got on a roll. And once I get on a roll, I just get going. And then I stopped. And the room exploded in applause, and I almost forgot there were people behind me. You're passionate.
I was so definitely focused. Passionate.
Yeah, look, it's my business, it's my livelihood, it's something that I love and enjoy, and it sucks when we're attacked on a regular basis.
But to your point, more retailers across the country have to have that passion.
Yeah.
To make sure things don't get out of control.
No, that's exactly. We have to stand up for our own
taxes.
Rights. That's exactly right.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for appearing on Stogie Geeks.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been a blast. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun. I said we were going to have fun going into this.
Oh, yeah.
Hell
definitely.
Yeah.
You have to come back like next month. And we can pick a
definitely.
topic.
Anytime.
Mike, thanks for coming in and hosting the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike.
I love it. It's not the first time I've been attacked, or not attacked, but accused of taking over something.
So don't forget, give them the URL.
Oh, RegencyCigar.com. RegencyCigar.com. Regency Cigar Emporium in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. RegencyCigar.com. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Regency Cigar is the handle. RegencyCigar.com is the website. Like us, share us, tell the world about us. That's what I say every time. Regency Cigar. If you're a cigar smoker or you know a cigar smoker, you need to know Regency Cigar Emporium and RegencyCigar.com.
There you go.
How's that?
Awesome. Nelson, thanks for coming in as always.
Always.
You guys are great. You guys are
awesome.
absolutely
Stogie Geeks, remember, we keep the conversation going all week long. Visit StogieGeeks.com. Email all of your complaints to Nelson at StogieGeeks.com. Drew, we missed you, buddy. We'll catch you next time. Stogie Geeks, we will see you next time. Peace.
You guys were great. That's freaking